Create new monitor, 1080 ProStream webcam, audio. I see a green thing. I think that means there's sound.
That's a green bar.
Can people say that there's sound if there's sound? Audio? Are we on audio? Just finished watching Cody's show and got the notification. Yeah, the hour-long one. That was very cool. Dave, you wrote that, right?
Co-wrote it, yeah. I did like the first couple drafts of that, and then Cody went through,
Folks.
finalized it. That was fucking awesome.
He's a real descent.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you're welcome for Dave's hard work and Cody's and Katie's, but they're not here, so I'm gonna suck your dick.
All right.
David Bell, ladies and gentlemen.
Everybody suck his
hoping
dick!
I don't. An hour long thing is just. I mean,
It's doing good. It's one of those crazy things with the internet where people like long videos. now.
right? Yeah, like we write features, but it takes 5 months, and he did it in like a week.
Yeah, it was. What happened was it was originally like 24 pages, which in context, like his scripts are usually like 6 or 7. 'Cause
Yeah.
they're not script pages. They're just like written out with sources and stuff.
Did
It's
it
like a Word doc.
And did it happen organically, or was the goal to make a
This was-
long episode?
It was his white whale, so he was like, I want to do this. I've been trying to do it. I need, like, he basically was like, can you try to do it because I'm too close to it.
He hates
And
Ben
then
Shapiro so much.
yeah,
It's hilarious.
Every
He gave
fiber
me-
of his being.
And it was that sort of thing of a meeting and just like, here's all the things he wants to include. And then I found things, and then it was 24 pages.
David, dead!
He brought it, the first time he brought it to his shoot, they realized it was way too long. They were trying to shoot like 2 things, and so we got like an extra week to work on.
Nice.
Yeah, it was grueling.
I hope it destroys Ben Shapiro. Have you seen the video that went around of the dude doing the shining through the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yelling
so
at Ben
good.
Shapiro? I like that.
That one is more about Steven Crowder. I recommend
Yeah.
watching the whole thing.
That's H. Bomber guy, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
As many people told me, I get my nerd license revoked for not knowing who that is
I didn't know
already.
who he
Nerds
was.
are.
Well,
You gotta know the nerds
the
if you're
Twitter
a nerd.
universe in its
Yeah.
entirety. So here's the scripts. Let's introduce, I guess. So we did Dave, Thomas Ryman, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, there's the camera. Hi. Hello, camera.
I'm Michael.
I'm Abe.
All right. Script for Mike,
We did it.
Dave,
What does this mean that it
Tom,
has
and
my name?
Roger.
I'm not Roger.
I know. I just got saucy.
That's my dad's name.
Why don't
I
go
was
through
trying to
this
make it a
thing?
random name, implying I forgot your name, which would never happen.
Right. Good joke.
But it gets foiled by the fact that that's your dad's name. That confuses
And we've done
the
it as a
joke.
bit. Like that's why Roger in the ads
If you need him,
show
you don't need
his
him.
name Roger.
Is it?
Yeah, because we
Oh,
thought
okay.
it was a funny everyman. I'm
Roger
by
is
the
a good. Roger's a good everyman.
Yeah. Look like Lloyd.
No talking about H Bomber guy on our stream. It's
Yeah.
our stream. No, I'm just kidding. So, the goals today are to read through Tom's script, provide feedback to be used to turn it into a final shooting script. Because also, Tom, you were not at the last meeting, right?
I was not, no.
So we went through a process of like choosing which characters plug in where. So we may even change some of your characters
That's fine.
if after we talk about it. I haven't read it yet, so I'm saying it too early. But
You bastard.
and then we'll show the partial edit for episode 2.
Oh, cool.
I'm gonna write a script for the next shoot as well because we get 2 at a time. So I'm gonna pitch you guys pitches, and hopefully we'll quickly hone in on the best one, so that there can be some time also to help me develop the arguments.
Are we
within,
gonna have any
So I can write it off quickly.
any across the room chatting about ones that we were excited about last writers meeting but didn't
Yeah.
really flesh them out, or do we want to do that entirely offline? I don't know. I just find sometimes it's hard when I'm like, here's my episode that I'm supposed to be writing. Do you guys have ideas? Here's an email, because it's almost like an email contracting other people to work as opposed to like
Right.
in the room riffing.
Yeah, development time is important for this show, which is why
I
we
can
do
that,
these.
Yeah.
But I would say that because time is also crucial, and we're paying you guys for the scripts, but like it's a lot to ask for you to go to the meetings too, and
Exactly.
yet they're crucial. I think we should always focus on just developing what's getting shot next.
Cool.
So like next meeting, or like I also don't. If you're ready to write your episode, Because Adam explicitly said he wasn't ready to write his episode.
Yeah.
If you're ready to write your episode, we could develop that instead, and I won't write one this round.
Well,
I was just saying.
We'll start talking about new ideas because we're always
Yeah.
going to need that, and then see where
Exciting.
it goes. And if we can fall back and pivot within like 10, 15 minutes after
Yeah.
that segment starts, what do you think of that?
Yeah, that works.
Good call.
So let's do the read.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Casting.
Tom, can you do across the page and someone?
I'll do Cody.
And then you cast it. Yeah.
Michael, you be Michael.
Alright. It's weird though.
Weird flex.
Dave, you be Katie. Abe, you be Maggie.
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 Gotta put my Maggie mind.
So wait,
on.
Maggie, Michael, Cody, Katie Stoll.
Yep.
For reference.
Hmm.
Gosh, there was that comment with a lot of likes. I'm glad people like Willard a lot. I do too. But they were like, it's just, she has to come back every episode. I'm like, how would that work? A joke where she has a cameo every episode.
And does a different, like a Wilson character or something like that. But like a silent
Just
Wilson
giving
character. I
sage
mean, that's a
advice,
great idea.
yeah.
As soon as I said it, I knew.
You're
it was
like,
a
I
great
kind of
idea.
like it.
But I think the idea is that it's
Wants nothing
she's
to do
got,
with it.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's just she's like that phase of being in that is over.
Exactly.
Is the read we're getting. I'm sure she will still be around in other stuff, but she's not going to commit to a fairly regular appearance on the show.
Yeah, no. No, I meant that was her character bit, not her. Yeah,
Yes.
real thing. All right, let's do it.
Okay. Interior of Michael's apartment, day, night, who can say? Michael, Cody, Katie, and Maggie are just finishing watching a movie on the couch like a bunch of pals. We can hear the end credits to a Marvel movie begin playing.
There. Now that you've seen all 22 films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you are all officially ready to go watch Avengers Endgame.
To who are you speaking to? Or who are you speaking to? To whom are you speaking? We've seen all these movies. We've watched them together.
I really don't see why we had to watch 2 seasons of Iron Fist.
Because there's a chance, Cody! There's a chance Iron Fist will show up in Endgame, and I don't want anyone to be confused.
There's no chance.
Him showing his face at all would be the entire source of my confusion.
I hope he does. He seems so sad. Like he knows nobody likes the show. Oh, do I need to get caught up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Well, I don't know. What's the last episode you saw?
None of them.
No, I think we can skip it. S.H.I.E.L.D. just does menial labor in the background that facilitates the narrative. They're otherwise not important to the film. You don't invite the catering staff to the wedding.
Great! What about Agent Carter?
Okay, this is harassment.
Being a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent's like being a mall cop. You'd be cool if superheroes didn't exist, but they do, so you're lame. You're like the lame cleanup crew. You're like the guy carrying the Hulk spit bucket after a title match.
The Hulk is a boxer?
I meant the Hulkster.
The Hulkster's a boxer?
The worst choice of words for this analogy. What I'm saying is that being a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent would be awesome in any other universe except for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is the universe in which they are doomed to exist. Being a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent in the Lethal Weapon universe would be awesome. You're essentially the Men in Black. But in the Marvel universe, it's a cruel punishment of a job. There's literally no worse bummer of a job to have in a fictional universe.
Untrue! As long as we're talking about background hourly laborers in fantasy universes, how
We
about we
are.
spare a thought for the poor intern that has to catalog all the haunted Nazi bullshit Indiana Jones brings back from his adventures?
Are you kidding? That's a great job. You get to earn college credit making an inventory sheet for the world's greatest adventurer. After all, that stuff does belong in a museum.
No, it doesn't. That's why it's all so goddamn haunted. So Nazis will stop stealing them.
Are you saying Indy is a Nazi?
No, nobody is saying that.
Thank you, Michael. No, I'm just saying that Indy's making some poor undergraduate risk getting their head exploded or aged into dust for a minimal amount of college credit. And every single box he sends back is covered in Nazi racing decals, which is weird and unsettling. How do you explain that to a random people touring the museum? Or your parents?
Well, I don't know about the Nazi graffiti.
Not ZD.
The Nazi.
Yeah, it's not ZD.
Not ZD.
But Indy already knows not how to not trigger curses, so maybe he types up some instructions. Or wait, you're his intern, so you probably have to make. So he probably makes you type up the instructions. In which case, you already know them, so you can freaking juggle those relics and not worry about your melon exploding.
Yeah, and maybe you could steal one.
B.
Fortune and glory.
I bet Dr. Jones writes great references.
What about the guys who have to grow the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park?
Well, no, unless Jurassic Park had an internship program in the 1930s, those guys wouldn't write you a reference for anything.
B.
Oh yeah, that's a great job. You get to name all the dinosaurs.
Oh yeah? Would you name one of the dinosaurs Horror?
Well, if she was an asshole, yeah.
Cody, if you're going in a captive animals forced to do our bidding direction, I've read it in literally every article about why Pokemon is secretly bad, so you can save it for the car ride.
Michael is trying to usher people out the door as he says this. No, Michael, they're blindly pulling DNA from bug mummies to clone their dinosaurs. They don't have any idea what that DNA is going to make. They're just popping it into the clone microwave and seeing what pops out.
Won't what pops out just be dinosaurs, though?
Or they'll be monsters, Katie. How much blood does one of those fossilized mosquitoes drink? From how many different beasts? Those scientists have to just roll the dice every time they fire up the cloning bats and hope a dinosaur pops out and not some mangled Cronenberg monster. How many times have they had to flamethrower a shrieking boogersaurus to death once it hatches?
Oh, you get to use a flamethrower too?
Flamethrowers are awesome, but we're gonna miss the movie!
So you could kill dozens of dinosaurs you named as long as you get to use a flamethrower?
Absolutely. Name them.
Everything has a name, Katie.
Even flamethrowers?
Kyle!
I feel like you don't think any job in any movie would suck.
I mean, I'd just be excited to be working.
B.
Shit's expensive. Look, every job that's not specifically the hero in any given movie wouldn't be that great. Like, could you imagine being the Pope?
No.
I can, but like the Jude Law version of the Pope that just drinks and fucks all the time, you know? On the HBO show. I don't know, I didn't actually watch it, but I feel a spiritual connection to that specific version of the Pope that I've created in my mind.
Being the Pope in what movie? My capacity for making Pope believe is surprisingly broad.
In the Marvel movies, Thor shows up on Earth would be a huge problem. Worse than Freddy showing up to your birthday at the roller rink when he clearly wasn't invited. Thor's both a god and an alien. He's E.T. with a beard. Discovering both mythological gods and aliens are real would be a global crisis of faith. People would freak out. The church would stand to lose a huge amount of its power overnight. And Popes Katie and Michael would be fielding constant questions about how to integrate the god of thunder into Sunday school classes.
That's why Jude Law drinks and fucks so much.
Being the Pope in the Marvel Universe would be like being a super old man trying to coach a Little League baseball team. Nobody respects you, and everyone has a murder weapon, and zero impulse control.
B. Your Little League coach is dead, isn't he? Maggie nods vigorously.
What about being any regular person in Game of Thrones? You have absolutely no control over anything that happens to you. You have no voice in government, and you're only valuable as a potential casualty. You're like a sentient scoreboard.
Plus, imagine being the guy who has to ride into town every so often just to explain what the shit happened in like the past 8 weeks. There's no internet. There's no Game of Thrones wiki. It's just you and your dumb face having to explain which Lannister choked on a poison fig and how that led to 12 of your cousins getting burned alive at a farmhouse.
And the dragons. Nobody told them about the dragons. Sure, all the high folk have been whispering about it for 7 seasons, but Kevin Brickenbush has no idea dragons are even on the table. And suddenly he's trying to plow his dirt farm while dodging years of dragon shit.
Well, on the plus side, you never hear about zombies. Can't imagine trying to harvest a bunch of gourds knowing that a standing army of White Walkers almost killed the whole planet.
B.
Sometimes it's better not to know.
You guys, I bought these tickets months ago.
So you're saying we have time for a lightning round?
Ooh, being a regular mer person in Aquaman. Everyone is wearing crowns and talking all Shakespearean, but you know they're just ejecting clouds of brown soup at every couple of hours like a bunch of horses.
Sea horses.
Exactly. The ocean's just a great big old toilet. It's like they're not going to even bother inventing plumbing.
I bet it's some poor slob's job to clean it up. No, some poor slob, as plural, They have grossly uneven social cast in Aquaman, a bunch of inbred royal fish people.
Kingfish.
What about working for the Make-A-Wish Foundation? All those in the Ghostbusters universe, all those sweet dying children are just going to turn around and haunt Disneyland or Chris Pratt's house as soon as they get their wishes and pass on. Then you have to call the GBs and watch the kid die all over again.
Kind of sounds like it would suck more to be the Ghostbuster in that scenario.
You know what I mean.
What about Batman's accountant?
He tried to blackmail Bruce Wayne with his secret identity, and then Bruce Wayne heroically saved his life by sacrificing a very expensive Lamborghini. What about it?
That's my point. Bruce Wayne has to have an accountant that's loyal. The guy in the movie spent literally one night doing Wayne Tech's taxes and immediately discovered that Bruce Wayne was Batman. You'd have to have a CPA who was dedicated to cooking those books every single year. You've seen how much money Batman spends on bat-shaped airplanes. We're talking billions of dollars of fraud per year.
Man, that is a heavy burden. And all you want to do is keep that Dark Knight safe so you can protect the people of Gotham.
Beep.
While not paying his taxes, Batman should be punching himself into prison.
Ooh, who has to build all the toilets in the Star Wars universe? Can you imagine what the bathrooms must be like in Mos Eisley, trying to accommodate all those different alien buttholes? And the sheer amount? Imagine being a plumber. I mean, picture the loads Jabba the Hutt must be trying to flush when he's calling you up twice a day, all gooba, gabba, giba, toilet fracture.
Jedi.
They gave up on plumbing at Jabba's palace a long time ago. They just dug that man a hole in the sand. But Chewie for sure shits like a Budweiser Clydesdale.
For sure, dude.
For sure.
We all agree.
We're all agreeing here.
Who do they make work in the Vibranium mines in Black Panther?
Vibranium, we gotta go.
Vibranium's whole deal is that it absorbs force and redirects it, right? So how the hell are they getting that out of the ground?
Sorry. Lasers?
Probably lasers.
Wakanda is another society with a ruling royal family and a clear... God damn it. So some blue-collar workforce is down in those mines getting catapulted across the tunnel every time they swing a pickaxe.
Is it me?
Maggie.
Well, not if they chain their ankles to the ground.
What was your previous moment? You're out of it, admit it. Okay, wait. Okay, well, we've talked so much about this that I think Avengers Endgame has literally ended its theatrical run and made its way to streaming during our conversation. So let's just stay home and rent it.
No, they just released it with extra footage to try and get that last few $100 million they need to beat Avatar.
But Disney already owns Avatar. Why are they trying to beat the record of a movie they just bought?
Revenge.
Fuck it, let's go! Maybe in the new footage they added a little side view of Thanos' dick.
Ooh. Honestly, you could have just said Thanos shows his dick instead of making me watch all these movies, and I would have been right on board.
What about the guy who has to animate Thanos' dick? Is that a terrible job?
No.
How do you think they do it? Would they just draw it from scratch, or would they attach one of those light sensors to Josh Brolin's wang?
Ooh, Wang sensor guy.
Beat.
There's a job that's tough to... You know what? Forget it. Everyone in the car!
They all leave the house chanting Thanos' dick.
Thanos' dick. Thanos' dick. As we stand, as we leave.
Alright.
Alright.
Alright, that's a script.
Stream qualities, fuck boys. Oh.
Oh, that
Looks
happen.
good to us. I mean,
Apparently Black Panther has
it's not great
explicitly
for us.
has a modified mining tool, so there you go.
I mean, that's weird, as long as you can say.
It's my favorite stream
That
reply,
would
which
be
is
bad.
stream fucked up? Well, it's fine over here.
Yeah.
It's not that fine. I mean, it's
Wait, is the stream fucked up? It's pixelated.
It's
pixelated,
yeah.
but
My internet
that's-
here is not
there's
the best.
nothing we're gonna
There's
do right
nothing to
now.
be done, yeah.
other than stopping the stream, which we're not.
Hey, great script, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you didn't like one of the arguments, the Wakanda one just got trashed. That I added that, so
Well,
the idea, not the script.
I mean, that's not...
It's a funny idea. We can add a line in about.
oh, is
Yeah,
there
they
an
made a special.
explanation?
Apparently
Apparently
they made a
they-
special digging
yeah.
tool, but you could add in a line. It's like, well, they made a digging tool. It's like, yeah, but how did they figure out they needed that tool?
Yeah.
That's true.
They started originally by doing.
But yeah, I don't know
later.
every detail of the MCU as well as I should. To the point of which digging tools have been clearly established in the canon already.
Yeah, dude, that's canon,
Idiot.
motherfucker.
One thing
Piece
I don't.
of shit.
This is
Great script though.
Yeah.
This is an addition that I don't know if is necessary. Is the talk of Batman's accountant, the guy who says he knows the identity of Batman, and that. Always a funny detail is that when that movie ends, Batman becomes not a vigilante, a fugitive. So you would imagine that guy's going to become like really popular after that.
Yeah.
Because
Or
the
like
Joker
a person
thing
of
is.
interest in the
Yeah,
case.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
that guy's. Like Batman should know who Batman is after that because that little weasel actually knows who Batman is.
Yeah.
I don't know if that fits in here.
I also feel like there's an opportunity, like it's low-hanging fruit, so choose it, but sometimes it's good. Shouldn't there be a joke about like Alfred doing all the other work anyway? Or something like that for Batman? Because it's like a running meme at this point that he does all the things.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is the accountant is literally... There's a movie called The Accountant
Yeah.
with Batman in it.
Oh, that's true. They're also doing a Alfred Pennyworth show
They
where
sure
he's
are.
a superhero in his own right
Right.
before Batman came into his life, I
Sure,
guess.
sure.
Yeah. I think it's very clear and...
I love the Pope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I would just put it through the normal tightening and punching process.
Sure.
Which I will do if you're okay.
Yeah, I'm fine
letting
with
it go
it.
from
Yeah.
here. Or did people have other thoughts about the arguments? The Wakanda one needs
I think
either
You just add a
to be
line.
deleted or another
You
line.
just
yeah.
add a line? Okay.
I'm in favor.
I don't know
of this.
anything about. Even your explanation doesn't explain it to me.
No.
But I just assume it's
It's
fine.
like, how did you figure out you needed to decompress before you get the bends? Like, they fucked this up a lot before they figured out you
Okay,
needed a
gotcha.
special.
That's true. Yeah.
So you're So you're assuming that it's something where we're just trying to take any moment in time in the development of a technology. Where like is that on the plate? Because like at what point do we stop asking that question? Do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
when Hank Pym invented the thing that makes you shrink
How
to the
many-
quantum dimension, what happened in the development
How many
process?
brats had to get squished into a proton?
Or like even Joker gas, how many times did the gas do random different shit before you got
I'm
it
not
out?
too worried about it personally. It's like my goal is not to shoot a hole in it. I just want to preempt that and see if it's like it's something we should address at all, or just like
I don't think it needs to be, because the argument's not presented as that. It's just
Right.
and somebody can chime in with but they explain that. It's like, but how did they figure out that they needed that?
Right,
People were still bouncing all over the place.
right. Yeah, that's true.
I'm just going argument by argument and seeing if any
Yeah.
confuse me, basically.
I don't know if this is a
Or
line.
can go just because it's long. But.
This could be just be an animation or clip note, but like the Jurassic Park thing is exactly the process in Alien Resurrection for Ripley
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So I
And
feel
they
like you
do
could
go
have a
into
clip of
it.
that
You
where it
see
is
all
like,
the horrible
yeah,
things
horrible
in the
monsters.
tubes. Yeah.
And how like I don't know if
So,
you want to play up
could
just how
compare to-
traumatizing that lab would be in general,
Right.
like psychologically. I mean that's pretty much the.
Compare JP Job to Alien 4.
Mm-hmm. And how psychological taxing it would be just to work in there.
Yeah, and that
Like, they'd be
might.
so jaded after a point.
Yeah,
You're right that
you'd
that might
think of-
work as just a cartoon. That might be the cartoon that
I
goes
think
there.
there's an aspect to that too of even when the dinosaurs work out. Imagine being like a vet to dinosaurs where like you're bored of them. Like it's the least glamorous. Like you talk to anybody who works in the medical field, after a while you just become numb to it, and like it would just be the worst thing to ruin for yourself. Is the existence of
The
dinosaurs.
existence of dinosaurs. The guy that has to scoop up their shit, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably get pretty sick of them. Although they do explain in the book that's the whole reason they breed compies is because compies eat shit.
Right. That's true.
Yup!
The thing is, the Indiana Jones argument questions that still seems that like it needs to be answered to me, and I don't know if the movie answers this.
It doesn't.
Where does that stuff in the warehouse? What's it destined to go to? Is it just going to stay in that
It's
warehouse?
it's 50. It's,
Normally we see
Area 51,
we see the
according to
Cross
that.
of Coronado. We see something else. He was trying to. it's clear in Raiders that he has. It's established in Raiders that he has a standing agreement with Marcus Brody that anything he steals that breaks international law by stealing will get put up in the museum, and he'll get paid for it, and it'll be very hush hush, and it'll be like.
So he does get paid. Also.
Yeah, oh yeah, he gets paid. Yeah.
And he doesn't want people to know it was him that took it, right? Usually, or like it's hush hush. So he's creating international incidents that could lead to like legislative decisions. It's just crazy to me. Okay, but there is some weight behind him saying this belongs in a museum. Some of the stuff he steals does end up in a museum.
It does, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
Still
it's
interesting that he gets
scattered
paid.
around. The
Yeah. So like, had he managed to recover, like they explicitly say they like wanted to have the Ark kept in the museum so they could study it and examine it.
Right.
Like the Shiva stones, not so much, but
but like
the cup falls.
The cup falls, and
okay.
so you get the impression that these are like the 3 instances when he doesn't get the thing.
The crystal aliens fly away.
Yeah, normally he would take it back and it would go in the museum and he would get paid
but
for
also,
it.
you imagine that like when he finds the Ark and tells someone about it, he must send someone back to be like, by the way, there's a lot of shit in that room that we should probably look at.
Oh, yeah,
it's like the Ark isn't the only thing.
Yeah, they probably go back there later.
And like, Jesus, there's a lot of snakes down here, but they would figure it out. Like, you'd have to go back to those places.
There was one that dawned on me. It's like doesn't have to be no idea, it's just a funny thought, just like some of the quicker ones you have in there. In Harry Potter, there's the fucking invisible like horses.
Yeah.
So do we step in like invisible horse shit all the time?
Probably.
Are there invisible horses? I don't
Yeah,
know.
they're like
You have to
only
see them. In order to see them, you like have to have grief.
Yeah, you have
Like
to
you have
have
seen death or something.
They're
actually
sad
seen-
horses.
They're sad horses, yeah.
They're
like,
goth horses.
They're goth horses, yeah.
Yeah.
I just like the idea that every part of them is invisible unless you've seen death.
Yeah. The Jurassic Park, but like, does a bug count if you've seen a bug die? You know?
Yeah,
I think
or
it's
like a
a
near-death
soul.
experience.
I think it's a
Do
wizard
you see
soul.
part of a horse? Just like
You just hear
Just an
names.
arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just hear it.
Another one that
Yeah, the Jurassic Park's very strong. Pope in Marvel movies.
another one that
Yeah.
I thought of just
Game
because
of
we've been
Thrones.
talking about this
They're
a
all
lot,
good.
and we might have suggested is whoever has to read Agent Mulder's field reports
Right.
or any other reports
Right.
because they're written like poetry. If you ever go through the episodes.
Oh, when he narrates. Direct.
Yeah, when he's like typing up his report.
His Doogie Howser.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's like,
written
what
by
is
a
the
madman.
nature of madness?
I think similar
Who
to
are we?
the
like it's all stuff.
Captain's
like
log on Star Trek would be the same
Oh,
deal.
yeah.
Maybe we can put those both in as one line.
that. Yeah, whoever's going through all that shit.
Like, who's the captain's log intended for? Because it would fucking suck to have to ingest
yeah,
it or
we're taking
deliver
some of
it.
them where it's like
The
Captain's
Admirals.
log, stardate unknown. We're in a parallel dimension. Okay, what the fuck?
yeah, it'd also
This-
be
And then
making
he's like,
sense
and in
of
the
it all.
end, it's really about family.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn it.
I also love
We
the
just want to know the mineral sources of this planet.
Here's the
It's an
other thing.
official log. Like, what am I supposed
Yeah,
to do?
Mulder-
I also
reports.
love that in Star Trek it's an ongoing mission, so you have to assume that they're too far to like send all the mail, right? The typical problem
Right.
with voyages. But then they get back into space and like towards Federation space, and they are able to send like just dropping off some data through the subspace just to get you the captain's logs and some phone calls home
Yeah.
and all that. But we're still gonna go out to this other place, and they're like, all right, cool, see you in like a year. And then they open up you did what?
We got a lot of follow-up questions.
You went back in time how many times?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Twin Peaks
Come
has the
back!
same problem, although it's not as big. but-
Ooh, this looks like it might have frozen.
Uh-oh, did we lose you, stream?
Oh no!
Might just be your internet trying to watch the stream.
Well, that's this internet that's providing.
It's the same
The
internet.
stream?
There's only one internet,
It could
bro.
All right, we're back.
Oh, we're back.
It's
Reloading. So maybe also try refreshing your page if you're seeing it super pixelated, people.
Yeah, because ours is good.
Okay, so yeah, we've just finished, for people asking what is this who's just stumbled in, we just finished reading Mr. Tom Ryman's off-hours script, giving some feedback. I also wanted to say I want a reason, or I need more of a reason personally, unless everyone disagrees, to why they all agree Thanos' stick would be so good to see.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good that's that.
I want someone to say something like,
It's the literal eggplant emoji.
it'll be there, like that.
Yeah.
Anything, like someone to have a joke reason where
Yeah.
everyone goes, "That's true. Let's go see the emoji." You know, I just thought one
Yeah,
reason
it's
for everyone
great.
to get swept up in it would help justify it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where they all get they excite each other.
Yeah. What do you think he's done to it with the power gauntlet?
Does it have the things like?
Oh, he
Exactly.
jerked off with that guy.
Like, I think they should go out the door making nerd arguments. You
Sure.
know.
Joke pitch. It just felt like something to grab if you want during the being a regular merc person in Aquaman, and you say, I bet it's some poor slope's job to clean up all of the shit.
Mhm.
You know, I think it's definitely a fish because there's some weird beast of burden situation with the
He mind
antenna.
controls them and is
And-
like, eat all the shit around
Yeah,
here.
yeah, exactly. It's definitely
It's just a fish with tears streaming
Yeah.
down his face.
And it's-
It can't
and
control
they-
itself.
And they have found a way to justify it. Like
Yeah.
it's seen
they're
as
like,
a second.
it improves them.
It's
Like,
a real human
Fish are
centipede
seen as second
situation.
citizens. It's a second citizen of fish, right? Because it's like the bottom. They're sucking up the shit out of their ass.
Right.
Alright, there we go.
Yeah, well, can the royal family all control fish or just
I think just Aquaman.
Aquaman? Okay. Then I guess he has to do that service for
He is
everyone.
the king, yeah.
It would be funny if he's like has to face a terrible ordeal and he needs his mind powers and he's like, I need all my mind powers. You guys are just gonna have to swim in shit for a couple hours because like I have to
Right.
withdraw that service.
He's probably like a liaison where, because he's not always there, so he probably tells the fish, and then he
Yeah.
has to go fuck
Remember,
off. And
keep
there's
eating
like,
shit while I'm gone.
yeah, and there's like a system in place where if something goes wrong, they're like, fuck. we
You'd
need
think once
Aquaman.
he's king, a bunch of people would come up with requests like, can you get fish to just do this for me, please?
Yeah.
Can you just make the fish do it?
Yeah, they're not doing that.
There might be more to Aquaman dystopia where fish become a slave society, but there's not room in this episode. So it
We
needs
gotta
to
have
move
an
things
animation,
along.
by the way.
Oh, for sure.
I want
It's
to.
gotta be Aquaman's like just shitting as he's like
Yeah.
flying and just
Yeah.
letting it
Just a
loose,
cloud.
like a normal fish would, because
Yeah.
they just or a bird, they just
Like a
let
horse,
it loose while
yeah.
they're going in transit.
Clips are all very self-explanatory, so exactly that. I do think we should close out the script by talking
Yeah.
about animations, because I'm just going to tighten it up. I'm not going to change anything radical. So
Yeah, I think the alien resurrection thing would be an animation.
Mhm.
Okay.
I feel like you could do. I don't know. Because it would have to be a twist to it where it's like a series of dinosaurs. And
yeah.
you can do a series of dinosaurs in the lab, and then the person who torches them is just clearly Sigourney Weaver or something.
Right.
The vibranium Black Panther section feels pretty right. But I
Yeah,
don't-
for just
Oh,
people
yeah.
bouncing all over the camera.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like a bouncy castle. Kind
Yeah.
Of.
Like you're like, okay, they have that now, but the first person who discovered vibranium then.
We could also have just that seems like funnier with sound effects.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Boing, oing, oing, oing.
you got it. You got it.
Just people walking through the museum, seeing like, for the Indiana Jones thing, just seeing the artifacts are on display. Each one of them has like a little shred of like a Nazi flag on it.
I was
Still.
thinking
Oh yeah, everything's got Nazi stamps
Yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
everything
Yeah.
has Nazi stamps on it.
something with like an intern, like a hungover intern, opening just a
Right,
box.
opening a
And
cursed box.
They're just their face explodes or
Yeah.
disappears.
Do you need us to go over more of them?
No, I
Because
think
there's
we're
like
alright.
3 listed in there.
Yeah, I got Alien 4 vs. Jurassic Park Vibranium Indie Museum. I'll have Nazi
Was there another one
tags and
somewhere
stuff.
added?
Did I miss one?
What's that?
Did we miss
I
an
think
animation?
I've got 3 so far.
Okay.
Dave suggested a hungover intern going in and
Oh, yeah, opening a
cursed
box.
That's an
Box.
alt of the indie one now.
Yeah,
Larry
yeah,
Wood
yeah,
Bell
yeah.
His
Seller,
head blows up.
Um,
Opening the art, yeah.
Sure.
is there a Jurassic Park one?
You guys
Yeah, the
read
Alien
Creature
Resurrection.
Tech, by the way?
No.
Graphic
Say what?
novel.
I've seen
It's the
video.
premise starts from it's a company that has a contract with the government to unbox a bunch of stuff that an analogous character has, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The story launches from exactly what we're talking about.
Oh, cool.
They're
Uh,
unboxing shit, and there's like the Shroud of Turin falls on the corpse of an ancient evil alien, and because the Shroud of Turin is actually a space artifact that causes resurrection,
Oh, okay.
it's pretty fun.
Is there? I mean, it just seems like it would grab for an illustration is the Cronenberg Jurassic Park monsters.
Yeah, that's alright. We're gonna do the Alien 4 idea. I think.
Oh, the
I
Alien
like
4
that.
shit. Sorry,
Game
I
of
was
Thrones, maybe.
thinking of actually having Cronenberg like,
Like
filming
Cronenberg.
it and having like a smile on his face.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
I don't think Cronenberg's someone you go like, that looks
That's
like
like
Cronenberg.
Well, his
The,
camera could have
That's
Cronenberg
true.
on it. It's political cartoon.
The Thor thing, you could do something fun with like a Sunday school
E.T. with
where
a
in front
beard.
of like a conspiracy
Yeah,
board.
E.T. with a beard.
Or that. I was thinking like someone trying to explain how this fits into mythology with like a big
Yeah.
crazy graph that makes no sense.
Like someone
them
teaching
sweating
Sunday
through,
school.
Yeah, like sweating through trying to explain how Thor fits.
I would, too grim, I guess. I would just do a lavish like room in the Vatican and the Pope's feet dangling from out of frame.
Yeah.
I was also thinking someone hastily like redoing the crucifix to give him a hammer or something.
Yeah.
They'd be like, it was Thor. It was Thor all along.
Jesus could lift the hammer
Yeah.
if Vision can, surely.
Or that could be the animation. Is Jesus struggling to lift the hammer. And Thor just standing there like, ha ha ha.
And everyone's like, more rock guy. We like Taika Waititi.
Pope hanging himself.
Where's that bug guy and that rock guy? Give him a sitcom.
Bug and Rock Guy.
Funny, that bug guy's actually a
Game of
huge villain
Thrones
in the comics.
seems not
Nice.
the
Yep.
greatest for that one. I feel
Kills
like
the Hulk's family,
we
Mike.
can just do shots
Oh,
of the
boy.
show.
He didn't need more reasons to be angry.
That's true.
Yeah, clips are all. I don't think we have to go through clips because
No,
they're pretty
we don't.
evident in this.
But I'm
episode.
just saying that can be solved by clips instead.
Unless you have.
No.
Sometimes people are like, that line corresponds to this exact.
No.
moment in the
It's
show."
pretty.
Okay.
It's just
Yeah.
what's on the page.
Cool. That's what I thought.
Game of Thrones, I thought might be good for an animation. Either somebody dodging gigantic clumps of dragon shit while they're trying to plow their farm, or
I feel like we can beat that
probably, yeah.
so that we have both jokes. You know, like
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you get but something like that.
If we also run out of the illustration budget, I can see that. Like, I feel like I see a quick series of edits on a clip sequence.
That would be.
Like, because
funny.
there we have the burning kid that Danny's
Yeah.
dragging, and then we have like wides of people working in like in the shitty district. And
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
And then
that's
them
true.
all exploding and stuff. Like,
Oh, and by the time this is released,
but that's
just a minor note that I'm sure you're fine with. I think we'll have to include line, which can be a joke, where people are like, "Yeah, we've wanted to see this for a long time, and you haven't let us till we've
Yeah.
caught up, because it will be so long since
Yeah.
the actual
It's
release."
kind of why I wrote the last joke in there about,
Yeah,
oh, we've been talking so long, it's already up.
Yeah. yeah. I just think putting something at the top also will make everyone go like, "Okay, that's all fine then."
Sure.
if we are illustrating anything
Um,
relative to Jabba the Hutt shitting, he should definitely shit something that looks like just a miniature version of himself.
Yeah, it's just
because
a
he
whole
just looks
tiny
like
Jabba.
shit. Yeah.
That's delightful.
I do think Mos Eisley bathroom could be a good drawing. With Jabba in it, shitting a little Jabba, or maybe it looks exactly like Salacious Crumb.
That was a sketch
Aw.
that actually Syriac and I pitched.
What?
Jabba shits Salacious Crumb.
No, it was at Jabba's palace. It was two palace guards hazing a new guy. Like the new guy comes up and it's like, "Where's the bathroom?" And I'm like, "It's right there, man. You just shit into the grate." Is it
Yeah.
the rancor pit? Yeah, we all shit in the rancor pit. And so they're just like tricking him into shitting into the
But it's a
rancor
prank
pit.
by the
Yeah.
end. They're like, "Dude, he shit into the
He shit in the
rancor
rancor
pit."
pit.
It's just
Holy
the
shit,
ranker's
dude.
super big.
Use the bidet, dude.
Like, he will now never not be able to know where you are because he
No.
smelled your shit.
That's why he's rancorous.
Yeah.
That's right.
Man.
He hates it. He will be
He
coming
can never
for it.
rest till he kills the last
It's
thing
just-
that's shed
yeah.
upon him.
He's just like, anyway, next week you have
Um,
duty where you have to feed the ranker, and the ranker's just looking at him all the time.
Yeah. So great.
Cool.
I also want to. So moving to pitch phase, I completely forgot to do something, so we'll do it next round.
Okay.
Which is like, and we're not soliciting pitches from the outside, but people close to us and also like super fans have been there a long time. Blah blah blah. We have like 8 pitches for episodes, not pitches but full scripts, and I said to everyone, if we use this idea, we'll just use the idea and probably rewrite it.
Sure.
But I did want to distill them into pitches and see if there was anything that anyone went for to develop the arguments from. The one off the top of my head is that someone sent a pretty well thought out episode of why Fox Mulder is a maniac and a terrible FBI agent.
Oh,
And I was
really?
like, Abe just sent them the link to your show. But I was like, that does make me realize if you guys wanted to write an episode of Off Hours after the show after the podcast, that would be a good.
I can see
Synergy?
something like that. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
not, yeah, even
Well,
without the
that's
synergy
like-
aspect,
I
of
feel
like
like-
explaining why
It's
he's
okay.
in a maniac is a good episode of Off Hours, also.
Yeah.
But I would want you guys to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, there were
Yeah,
odds and ends like that.
I wrote a direct-to-camera video about that at Cracked,
Oh, okay.
so we could.
There's
we
a-
could probably repurpose a lot of it.
So that's
There's
my point. Is
also,
if
like-
you wanted an outlet for those observations in video form, but also if you feel like no, we're covering that so thoroughly on the pod, we're done with that. That's fine. We have more than we can use, but we haven't done even After Hours never hit X-Files specifically.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's because X-Files is something that I feel like After Hours never hit before, right? Like the premise of Fox Mulder being a maniac is a good one, but I feel
referenced
like
in other arguments and shit, but never
Oh,
as
yeah.
a core. Yeah.
there's probably a lot of that universe too to explore.
Yeah.
I don't know what off the top of my head, but
Is Sliders worth watching?
no,
Is Farscape worth watching?
no.
Okay, good.
Sliders
Save me
is
some
alright.
time. Great. Okay, so ignoring those pitches till next round. Sorry, people who pitched, if you're on the stream right now. I have fresh pitches. Oh, sorry, we can't move on. All might be fine, but I wanted to briefly at least talk about casting because I know you wrote to who you're super familiar with.
Mhm.
And I'd have to read it again, but so I'm just gonna ask you, because I wasn't scanning for this as we read. We're playing Cody as so we have 8 people at our disposal.
Yeah.
And there's some doubling
Yeah.
with variation. So Cody is like a Michael. He's also like, but his difference is he's like chillest dude ever. I do stuff. I don't know a better way to describe it. My character like is id, so like I get hard for something and fucking go crazy. He's like everything's fine, so let's just do this and does something crazy, But the end result is
More
the same.
Robert Evans.
Yeah,
Like
we
he's more
mentioned Robert
yeah.
Evans kind of. Although we mentioned Robert Evans more for Stoll, right?
I think I thought we were talking about how he's like apathetic to to big things to such an extent that he feels that he's reached like freedom nirvana.
Right.
That's
And he can
kind of
just
what
do
it is.
whatever.
fine, I'll do
Yeah,
this.
that's what it
Yeah.
was in the other version. too.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
so I'm just making sure.
That's kind of what I
Does
read.
that feel like that fits per chance
Yeah.
what you've scripted here?
Mhm.
Okay, so then we can leave Cody. That I'm just doing like a character.
Maggie
scan.
felt Maggie.
Yep, you already could tell she was like a DOB type.
And I wrote Katie as being suspicious of power or authority.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Katie, we mentioned Robert Evans because he's a chill, barefoot dude, but we actually talked about Robert Evans more specifically around Stoll because she's going to be, and I mean his political persona. She's like edgy, burn down the establishment,
Cool. That's what
own
I
a
wrote.
gun, but fuck the
I was gonna
government.
say,
Yeah, I thought that was-
she's
Fuck
the
the
one
NRA,
with,
but I
like,
have
yeah.
10 guns.
with
yeah.
like a trunk in her house that she doesn't want the government
Exactly.
to know about.
So I will probably maybe use jokes to tweak people even more
Sure.
in
Right.
their direction.
Wording or yeah.
But it sounds like I was following the same.
Yes.
We may have briefly talked about it. I
Yeah.
just couldn't remember if we did. Okay, so cool. My only other question is if because so far we've had Maggie and Michael paired every episode, and I would say that I think you always need a Daniel Vincent Gord or a Maggie in every episode. But other than that, I would like to see more like mixes of people. Like I don't need
Do we have
a
any
Michael in every
words?
episode. You know what I mean?
Do we have any? We haven't developed any other. This is a longer conversation about the characters and actors. We haven't actually gone through the ringer as much.
Or Teresa and Damien.
Yeah, we haven't seen what their utility is, so that if we like, just like you said, that economy of I'd like to have Maggie or a
DVG.
DVG.
Because they're both the nerd, bring the information.
Is it
type, which
Damien
is
and
necessary.
is it Damien and Cody that they kind of can replace each other? I think Teresa and Katie, just literally pulling out personalities based off of knowing
Right.
them.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
But with their actors, so they can change.
that's the thing is, Damien, I only know him as Rush, and then his own videos and in life. And in his own videos and in his life, he's just like straightforward, nice dude. I don't know his full acting range yet, so I feel like, yeah, we need to dig in more.
Yeah, I mean, he's super confident. He's also, he's got bits of Soren in him, but he's also kind of perky. He always tries to see the bright side of things.
Yeah.
So he's less of a
He is
Katie and
like-
more
But
of a Maggie.
ultra confident guy, we already have Greg and DVG, like
Exactly.
Venn diagram that
Yeah.
area,
Is he-
they overlap there. I don't need another one.
Is he more like real Sword, where he's like nice, and like he has that? I met him once.
Humble and boyish and
Well,
nice.
yeah, where it's like
Yeah.
there's a like it's like just meeting him once. He does seem like he's in between. He could be in between that like
Something he has.
Soren and Daniel.
Something
like,
that's very unique to Damien is he's very
helpful.
engaged about conversations.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't want to shut you out. He's always in. You have something to say. He's always all about like what you want to talk about, and he wants to talk about that and be as enthusiastic as he can.
Well, that overlaps with what Maggie's doing, which is super engaged. Always, she's always
Yeah,
excited
exactly.
about whatever anyone's talking
But
about.
But she has a little bit of that crippling self-loathing.
Well,
Like-
like someone who's super like social. Like I know Soren's confident, but someone who's like just outgoing in a way.
I think that's Damien is the closest we have.
like
to
the person who's got like other things to do and other
Yeah.
places to be.
Danny
and likes
Vincent
hanging
Gord
out.
is
DVG
kind
is
of
pretty
that.
good too.
Yeah.
Is
DVG is
Yeah.
a little bit more unapproachable though, because he, like you said in his self-definition, he's like an Adonis. You know, like he
but
feels
that
like he's
was
on a
also
pedestal.
Soren's thing. He was
Exactly.
a white supremacist,
Right,
essentially.
Secret.
But I mean, that's what we're trying to do there. Is he is definitely a
he's
Soren
too
template
confident
model.
in that Chadism.
But I feel like Damien could bring. I guess my question is whether we have enough norms and we should give Damien
Like
an affect like
Yeah.
we gave Katie or Cody. But
I,
what I'm really getting at functionally is we used Maggie for both last time, and I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind us switching Maggie out for Damien in the interest of finding his thing and having him in the mix. Because I think she's the easiest to extricate.
She
Do you
is
agree
the-
with that,
I agree
Tom?
with that.
Yeah, based on what you're saying, yeah.
Okay.
We should also talk to Damien about
Yeah.
that. But I mean, I think that's what he's played. That's why we've utilized him in the past as that way, is
Yeah.
because that's what he reads off the paper really
But
well.
it's also like balancing video game designers. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
want to make sure that all 8 are a nice balance amongst one
so
another.
yeah.
So I'll run that stuff through you,
Okay.
but I don't want to make extra work for you. So it'll be like, if everything meets with your approval, you'll just go fine.
Yeah.
But you'll have the opportunity to veto
Yeah.
stuff
Cool.
if we're ruining your script.
So you're reading my vision.
Exactly. I always want to give the writer that
Yeah, for
ability.
sure.
And of course, we're always like, believe me, I edited Cody for years. He'll just say, "No, I want it the way I had it," and you go, "Okay, it's fine. It's just jokes." But anyway, okay. So next is new pitches. All right. So I'm gonna load my pitches on Evernote. Cody's not demanding in that tone of voice, but he fights for all of his jokes very passionately. To be clear to the stream. Okay, randomly scrolling around. Those are arguments on the last ep. John Wick, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Shows that are other shows. We did that. That's the one that I'm editing now. Sorry, so these are my pitches for you guys, so I gotta scroll down further, clearly. Deep, 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 deep. Off hours, fresh concepts. All right. So just the one John Wick argument in your episode, Dave. I don't have this yet, but I want to put it into the hive mind. John Wick is a new franchise that I feel like is going to be around that everyone cares about. with ridiculous lore, I do think we could do a whole John Wick episode if someone thinks of the angle.
Are they gonna James Bond
I mean-
that, or are they only? Do you think how many more? Do you
Have
think
you
they're
seen the
gonna do?
ending of the third?
I haven't seen. No.
It's very much open.
He said he was only doing 3, but I feel like the ending basically
They
promises
they
4.
greenlit
Yeah,
it.
can
Okay.
you broaden
So
that
the-
to the franchise of older actor being absolutely unstoppable? Because there's the Liam
Yeah.
Neeson stuff, there's the Equalizers.
Denzel. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because when we watched the Equalizer, I think our first impression was it's a horror movie from the point of view of the slasher.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because that's what they are. They're
Yeah.
basically where you get the same.
And John Wick is too.
John Wick, you get the same like visceral responses you did watching Jason Voorhees kill people. It's the same idea, which is we're following this person that we like murder people and hilarious and.
But if we
terrifying
didn't like him
ways.
when we liked everyone else, he is Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's the exact same because like the Jason movies,
Yeah.
you're rooting for Jason in those, or
Pers-
like most slasher movies, like Chucky is.
You're
Yeah,
rooting.
It's a fun one.
It's weird because I root for
No,
the
really,
humans
though.
to win ultimately, but for many of them to die in a hilarious way. Like you're rooting
Yeah.
for lots of deaths to happen.
Right.
Well, it's,
I would also want to dig into just with John Wick trying to hold the world together is so amazing to me. Like trying to justify how things must work
Yes,
when
that
everyone
was-
is an assassin.
I'll see if I can find that.
Like
Script.
how that would affect everything about society. Yeah.
I did a video, or I did a script for Crack before we all
Mhm.
lost our
Mhm.
jobs. That
Mhm.
was, it was the new series of illogical conclusions where it was trying to figure out how logically the universe works. And I did one for John Wick, which was basically just like how does the currency work? How does the
How is it possible? Try to make it work, yeah. There's something that got talked about in the Discord a lot. So I'm going to move through a lot quickly, and then I would love people to say which ones stood out. I don't want to waste time developing all, because there's like 10. Least likable protagonist of a sitcom that's obviously supposed to be very likable, like humble guy. So
Yeah.
we talked about
Ted
Sam
Mosby.
Malone, Ted Mosby, JD from Scrubs. If we could think of one more, maybe 3 is enough, or there's better than those people. But JD from Scrubs, I have a lot on,
Right.
and is a horrible
Is that the
human
Zach
being.
Braff character?
Yeah.
And so it's unlikable, likable guys.
Who's the Who's the least likable guy from like an older sitcom where you're like, we used to think that guy was like, oh, Ted Mosby, he's just an average likable guy.
Mm.
And then you're like, if your friend did this and this and this and this, you'd be like, get out of my life, you fucking maniac.
Can that telescope out to like typical sitcoms, like Friends, who are actually the monsters, like the biggest monsters
What do you
of
want
all?
in
Do
Friends?
whatever we want.
Just because like I feel like there'd be like a case for, you know, like we could go head to head on some of the, you know, like the Phoebes versus the whatever How I Met Your Mother's character
Right.
with Neil Patrick Harris,
Right.
you know, and stuff like that. Like there's different ways to be monsters.
Like
You
who's
guys
worse,
covered-
Barney versus Phoebe versus Bender? Like
Yeah.
they're all the same sitcom role, but what are they?
Just one ups.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I
Okay.
don't want to develop too much. 'cause
No,
we'll
I
be
know.
here for
I'm just
too
trying
long.
to think of that.
So
would
hop
make it
into the
stronger.
next one immediately. And then if I would like to quickly decide which one to develop a bit. So I do have this thing about shows being blatant rips off of other shows in the way that Deep Impact and Armageddon or Ants and Bugs Life. Russian Doll is the good place to a shocking degree. Ozark, and not just because Bateman's in it, is Arrested Development. An old man lives in the basement instead of the attic. His initials are the same. He rides his bike to and from work. I have a whole list.
All right, I'm gonna throw in, even though you said it's,
Mhm.
even though I just said it's not worth watching. Sliders often ripped off whatever like popular movie was coming out.
Oh, okay.
All the episode.
Oh, okay. Like over and over.
They did like they went to a tornado world. I remember when Twister came out. They went
I
to a
see.
dinosaur world when Jurassic Park came out, and then they went back to the dinosaur world, I believe,
Jurassic
when the
Park
lost.
2 came
Yeah,
out, yeah.
like it was like very blatant.
That's kind of clever though. Like our model is ripped from the headlines, but pop culture
Yeah.
headlines.
It might have been because I watched as a kid, so it might have been way tongue in cheek. They might have been like really winking at the fact that they're doing it. I don't remember.
Sure.
I mean, Supernatural is just the X-Files.
Mm.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a lot of the same crew works on it.
Right.
And then the one I like the best personally is I realized that Deadwood is an adaptation of the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
What?
Obviously, E.B. is Gollum. Sits
Okay.
around talking to himself about his conflicted nature of wanting to be good but always doing evil and being in the muck.
Okay.
Saul and Bullock are Sam and Aragorn, respectively. The main thing is the two towers are across from each other in the thoroughfare. So Cy Tolliver is Saruman and our guy is...
Al Swearingen is Gandalf?
Yeah, and then Hearst is Sauron. He has an all-seeing eye. He seeks gold from the mountain.
He literally has the telegraph.
yeah,
Oh my god.
Wait, who's Frodo?
That I can't find a Frodo, which I think is interesting yet. Maybe Calamity Jane?
The Widow Garrett?
Well, who's being brought down by gold? Maybe the Widow Garrett?
Ellsworth, her husband, both of her husbands got, spoilers, killed.
Well, no,
by-
dude, she's totally Arwen. She literally is
yeah.
like an elf, goes away to New York with the fabled lands far away
comes
from
in,
the show.
has gold for everyone,
Everybody
improves
treats her like
everyone's
an
life,
elf, like
healer.
like she's a royalty.
And I love Hearst as Sauron because he literally is like,
Yeah.
the mountain speaks to me and it tells me the gold is calling to me. It's
Maybe,
it's
I
mine.
think-
maybe Frodo is us.
I honestly
I
think.
think Brad Dourif
Maybe
is
it's Charlie Utters.
Brad Dourif is
No, he-
Faramir. I think.
Mm,
Oh yeah,
I think
Charlie Utters,
Oh.
Gimli probably.
I think if you watch both back to back, you could probably do an entire episode on that. I know it's niche, but I feel like
So
you could
niche.
break it down.
That's just
I
gross.
pitched it
I
as
know.
an episode premise on Twitter, and it did better than my tweets usually do.
Yeah.
Really?
The Deadwood movie just so I could go. So I was prepared for that reaction. I do think and Lord of the Rings is timelessly
Yeah.
important. I think that could be a whole episode. I think with the other
That's so
things I
funny.
mentioned, we could also do shows that are adaptations of other shows. More random ideas. These might be better because I think these arguments will be fun, but it's more generic.
I think whether or not, sorry.
Which animated dad would you want to be raised by? Hank Hill, Homer Simpson, Peter Griffin, or American Dad?
Gotta be American Dad, just because.
I think we'd have to find a way to make it
Real
Peter
jobs,
Griffin
okay.
because the episodes always do best
It
when
has
the
your
winner's
surprising-
counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But I'm like, how can you cast Peter Griffin as a
He's
good father?
the worst one of them.
It's
Yeah,
really
he's
hard.
a real joke.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it might low key be Hank Hill, right? Because he's the steadiest.
It's
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
be-
yeah.
it's gotta
Although I found, yeah.
Well, Hank Hill's
King
the
of the Hill
one
is very
who's-
interesting to me. It's one of my favorites. I've seen
Right.
it so many times, but it's
He's
deep.
like flawed, but the others
But
are
he's-
kind of monstrous.
Hank Hill always is yeah.
Yeah.
He's got he's capable of empathy
Yeah,
almost
and, like-
always.
Like
Yeah.
Homer's empathetic, but he has the chaotic tendency that is just that's all Peter Griffin is.
I'm a
Yeah.
kid. I forget my kid exists. I
Yeah.
do what I want.
Yeah, and then Stan in American Dad is militant right wing.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus Hank Hill, who's just wrong about some of his ways and struggles with change, but ultimately he's an empathetic person, especially.
And
his
I
family.
would say, I guess, Meg, Chris, and Stewie come out the worst. Like, they're
Yeah.
not headed for good life. They're
Mm-mm.
all
No, they're all.
terrible and
they're all-
broken.
We'll be in therapy for that.
Chris
so.
is barely functional. Okay, so maybe not. Similar.
I mean, I think that'd be a fun episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I
winner's
just
Hank.
want to keep
Yeah.
moving through,
Sure.
plowing through.
Sure.
If people care about Doctor Strange enough, I have a whole thing about Doctor Strange that's really complex. Like if you saw my Matrix episode of After Hours, it's all figured out, and I would just I would like describe it in detail, and you guys would agree or disagree. But I only want to do it if people are like, yeah, everyone cares about Doctor Strange a lot.
I mean, people
I
like
think
Marvel.
People
Yeah,
like Marvel,
you
it's
might-
a great idea, and I think you should do it whenever you want to.
Well, the other thing would be, and here's whatever. People, I don't even care if it makes people on the stream angry. It's about how, and not for an overtly political reason, I just made the observation. Doctor Strange is like the most meta wrapped up within itself essay about the white male patriarchy must control everything, but also is as good as Jesus, but we're humble, we don't want credit, but do give us credit, we created civilization, also we control everything. Like,
Right.
it's all about the systems that entrap.
Right.
And so you're always going, into the place of like, people are going to hate on the video just because they're dicks, but it's not even
really
for a
is,
political
though.
reason. I'm not trying to say Marvel
Nothing
are all
you
racist.
Are you?
No.
I just
Nothing you
think
said is wrong.
it's amazing how many things connect.
It's
his
just
hands
how
are
society's
broken,
built right now.
but then by the end he has the way. Anyway,
Can
there's a
you
lot of
integrate
details.
The fact that he has that like weird centrist personality with the Infinity Stone, where he's just like, it'll all work itself.
Yeah, he's very, very.
And then at the
neutral.
end, he's like, "See, it worked out." And it's like, people died, you dick. Like he
Yeah.
knew that was gonna happen.
Right.
Yeah,
He
wasn't
like
his action to
letting
do
it
nothing?
happen.
Like he literally at one point says, "I can't tell
He
you
says
because
it's-
you'll change
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
outcome."
He
Because there's only
gives
one
up the
outcome,
time
though.
So
stone,
he's
like, "It's
basically
the only
just
way."
this guy who's observing everyone else being a superhero, and his superpower is just to find out the
Smuggling,
answer, but ultimately, if the answer is nothing, just do nothing. Like that's. He's not trying anything. He's just.
But also,
he's just the
but
universe.
it's also to
essentially.
come into a religious system that's existed for thousands of years and goes,
Yeah.
what's all this? This is all stupid. Anyway, now I'm the Jesus of this religion,
that's
and like kick
awesome.
everyone out who
Yeah.
doesn't agree with that.
I mean, that to me is hilarious. It's also it's pretty well worn
Special
at this
boy.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very special boy, and it's also all.
No, this
superhero
shit is
esque.
more about. This shit is more about like if you read it like Moby Dick. It's the visual symbology is amazing. Like the final shot, he literally wears a broken watch, meaning progress will not happen. Things are gonna stay this way. I want time to stop now. And his whole symbol is his hands heal and become super powerful, like the grasp of the hand. And he's looking at a panopticon. That's a stopped clock. That's a spiral.
Right.
And what he just did is he engaged in the spiral fantasy with the demon where he essentially gets to be Jesus, but better than Jesus because he does it 1,000,000 times. So he's 1,000,000 times better than Jesus. Like it's just very. There's a lot of like very clear some visual.
Like it's
things.
like basically you keep zooming in, and it's like Halo on his whole body, and then it's his head, and then it moves slowly to his dick.
Yeah, it feels like the movie was written by an algorithm where you fed white male patriarchy into it, and it tried to convince you that everything's fine. We're not bad guys. Everything's fine. Moving on. I think we've touched on this before, but I think it can be broadened to the whole franchise. Joker is one of the greatest engineers and tacticians and like trainers of all. He takes these like ragtag criminals with mental illness and achieves these amazing feats of engineering that require like dedication and precision and
He's
shit.
also a wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought there might be a way to show that in Gotham, the Joker is secretly the force for order and Batman is secretly the force for chaos, like explicitly chaos.
It'd be fun to break down
Like treat them as a
People-
yin yang, but they've
Right.
reversed themselves.
It'd be fun to break down the specific things he does, because it's like when when he puts the two buildings filled with explosives, where it's like, okay, that is filled with barrels of explosives. He had to fill each barrel up. He had to get trucks here. He had to like
Dolly them out of the
unload
truck,
them. He had
yeah.
to get people and pay them. Like it is the putting this, and he does it to the fairies as well in like
He's
the
a wizard.
same fucking week.
And they
Yeah,
also
he's either a
establish-
wizard or
He has
he's
a loyal-
He could be a secret millionaire.
But they're like
It's
low-paid thugs or mentally ill people he scoops up from the streets, and it's like he gets them to be very dedicated, punctual.
Right.
He's amazing at turning their lives around.
What's amazing is the amount of loyalty he seems to
Inspire,
inspire.
yeah.
Because it's almost instant, or it's not instant. It's just as soon as we've met him, he's always had this criminal underground.
I think, I think you run into problems because all of the Joker's plans are explicitly to murder tons and tons of people.
And how
So
does that
it's
provide
like
order?
He's organizing people to cause chaos.
So it's all there's.
That's true.
So all the maniacs.
And I
are
wonder
about
if it's
chaos.
too well worn. I was just intrigued by the idea of them as still eternally battling for two forces that are always in opposition, but being like secretly they're not the ones you thought.
secretly it's
But I
Batman
also-
trying to chase a cat.
I also don't have as many explicit reasons, like you said, because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
he's trying to kill people, and Batman's trying to stop him from killing people. So how is he chaos? Even though there are a lot of arguments, like we just had in your script, if he just paid his taxes fairly, you could argue he would have a major impact on the city more than his actions as Batman.
punching
Yeah.
individual
yeah.
mentally ill people. Yeah.
For which, to accomplish, by definition, he has to withhold taxes from the city. Otherwise, it would,
Yeah,
get
otherwise
him.
they'd figure out who he is.
All right.
Okay,
but
wait.
this might not be the winner.
In
so
the
we can
in
move
the
on,
Dark
but-
Knight Joker, does he victimize anybody who isn't? Oh, no, there's cops and stuff. I was gonna say if he's just going after the government, that would be
He kills everyone.
no. He kills everyone.
Yeah, and he sets up those boats to kill,
Yeah.
theoretically kill innocents if it goes the wrong way. Okay, Oh, we had. This isn't my idea, but I wrote it from a previous meeting. We could still do a great episode where the people are, the gang's sitting around literally talking about, what if we were a gang? Oh, I'd be so good at running the mafia. And then you'd go like, how does the mafia work in John Wick? Like, how does it actually work?
Right.
How does it work in the Star Wars universe? Because there is an organized crime element, even in the newest one, they had the Monte Carlo
Criminal
shit.
organization.
How does it work with the, currency exchange staying secret? How are finances documented in the Star Wars universe to begin with? Fast and Furious was another one people mentioned. The sheer amount. They must bring in X amount of money. I mean, now they work for the government. But this is a world where there's things implied in the movies where, like, it's magically like how in baskets clowning's more important than it is. Drag racing's more important to people in this
I was
world
going to
than
say,
it is.
it's a car race based economy.
Right.
Like,
so
right.
working out how you, like, track and
Yeah.
exchange.
And often you win the whole car.
Yeah,
Right?
well,
So
that,
it's
there's
like
definitely.
a car-based economy.
But you
the
destroy
second-
20 cars doing it.
The
Yeah.
second one has the Yakuza challenge, doing a whole deal based off a race, so that would be a good one to look at.
Too
Yeah.
Fast, Too Furious?
Yeah.
Or is that, yeah.
No, Tokyo Drift.
Tokyo Drift.
Sorry,
Tokyo Drift,
the
yeah.
third. Is that the third one? It doesn't-
Yeah.
Well,
That's the
Too Fast, Too Furious needs to be number 2.
It'd be
right?
crazy if that was.
If that wasn't.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Actually-
then... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Which one is Tokyo Drift?
The third
It is the third one.
Yeah.
People also mentioned bringing into the worst likable character ones Sheldon
Oh, yeah,
and
Sheldon's
or
a dick.
Chandler. And then I have been pitching this since before we started this show, but I don't know if Frasier's big enough. Just a Frasier takedown. Each person is worse than the last. So like showing how Daphne is not as kind as she seems. And then escalating to, well, Niles is pretty bad. Well, Frasier's the worst, and then the punchline is, no, the grandpa is the worst by far. There's a scene where there's a young
The
Korean American
dog,
woman,
The dog is
and then
the
the dog,
worst.
of course, would be
Yeah,
the top of
Yeah.
punchline at the end. But there's an episode where there's a young Korean American woman at a party, and he keeps overtly hitting on her really aggressively in a way that didn't seem creepy at the time, but does now. Then Daphne pulls him into the kitchen and is like, why are you doing that? And he's like, well, she reminds me of the war. So he's hitting on a woman half his age because she reminds him of his time in the Korean War. And she goes, well, it's not like the war. You're not there with a candy bar and a Bible and her village hasn't just burned down. So I think they're referencing that he's treating her the way he would treat a sexual conquest of
Right.
a
Yeah.
displaced refugee
When we're in
during
the
the war.
pillaging stage.
yeah. But I don't know if Frasier is.
I mean, I think you need to write that,
Yeah.
To get it out of my
Yeah, I
system.
kind of want it to exist.
and I would love to watch it.
Yeah, I love Frasier shit.
Yeah.
I
I don't even know much Frasier. I would just
don't
love
know
to watch
enough,
that.
but it's like one of those things where as soon as I hear the reference, I start laughing. about
Yeah, and
it.
I think people are familiar enough
So
with
it's
Frasier.
kind of like Garfield. You
Yeah.
know, it's like
Yeah.
no, it's not relevant in any way, shape, or form right now. It's becoming a meme.
That's,
Yeah.
My instinct is to go with either the Frasier one or the sitcom one.
Okay.
Oh, are you done yet? Sorry.
That's it.
That's
Yep.
the final.
Yeah.
I'd say Frasier or the
Can you?
We had least
bullet
likable
point?
likables.
least likable. Like
Deadwood is Lord of the Rings.
Oh, that's right. I fucking
Animated
like
Dad.
that one too.
I mean, we'll probably eventually
These are all
do
good.
some.
Doctor
some
Strange.
of these we'll do, yeah.
Or who's the worst person in
Yeah.
Frasier?
I think Doctor Strange could possibly wait until
See,
there's another Doctor Strange.
Commenters, feel free to weigh in on which of the pitches you heard should be
Yeah.
pursued, but we'll ultimately decide ourselves. Yeah, go for it.
Because that's still. I have to figure out how to read here.
Yeah, I just watched because I'm weird. My comfort thing is finding a show and watching it on a loop, like
It's a lot of
like
stuff.
immediately starting it over. Yeah, but I do move on eventually to a different show. So I just did it with Frasier, so I had Frasier on the background like 10 times through the whole series. And I just was like, there's enough for an episode for sure.
I
like
do
of
love-
good clips.
I do love Deadwood. I do think it should be something later in our catalog, just because it's so
Okay.
niche so
I'm very
early.
excited about
Yeah,
that.
That
I
one's
can't-
great.
I
I think
can't wait to
that
watch
like
that one.
once we get our feet under us and there's like 10 episodes, I feel like Deadwood is a lock. Maybe even less, but I just don't think it should be in the first like 6. Just because I think we should stick to our roots of pop
Yeah,
culture.
least likable likables seems the most voted
See,
on in the thread by
Like,
far.
I also love
and
anything
people just
John.
say it feels the most like.
I'm a big
the kind of
fan
thing
of
we would
anything
do.
John Wick.
Yeah.
The John Wick stuff.
Well, that
is
was
all,
there's the Criminal Underworlds one.
Yeah. Doctor Strange is always good.
I'll want to do the day with Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
eventually, but I don't need to do
The
it now.
one that well, we're not doing that part yet.
So, because I was reaching with
Frasier is also great.
Dancing on Cheers. It's too out of the zeitgeist at this time. So like when I scroll down further, I liked that assortment. Are people okay with? It would be Sheldon, JD, Chandler, Ted Mosby, and I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any other monsters? Do you not want to open up to other ways, like other
Fuck.
characters are monsters? Because there's, like, Courtney Cox
I gotta
and
watch Big
Friends
Bang
is
Theory
really
now.
I
a
was gonna
monster.
say, I don't
I've
know if
never
we
seen
covered
an episode of
Kramer
Big
as a
Bang
monster.
And
Well,
Kramer's a
insufferable.
monster.
Like, it's-
But he's not
Like
meant to be
monster.
likable. I think
I
I like
think
narrowing it in
it's
that
hard.
way.
That's
Yeah.
actually good.
That was my question,
That
is so-
actually, there's
Yeah.
enough in it, it gives it an angle.
That's why of
Yeah.
Friends we landed on Chandler, because yes, it's by its nature an ensemble piece, but only in that it's duo. Rachel's the female lead and Ross is the
Yeah.
male lead. But I would say Chandler's meant to be likable in a way that Ross and Rachel are
No,
not
no,
meant
yeah,
to be
it's
likable.
it's also.
If you could do it, I don't know if you can, but if you could do it so that you were arguing that Joey was actually a monster.
I mean,
Because
He's
sure
so
he can.
endearing.
Because he's
and-
like the harmless dumb guy.
Yeah, he sometimes creates problems, but they're usually low stakes.
But I don't know if you could actually do that.
Oh,
Like-
someone.
like- oh, go ahead.
No, you're.
I was just gonna say Chandler seems like a good fit because he had all the laugh lines where he's like, but if you when you watch those things where they take the laugh track away, it's just like, wow, Chandler's just
Chandler's
vicious.
just vicious. Why are you so angry?
Why are you
Yeah,
friends
sorry,
with
you're a
this?
piece of shit.
Yeah.
Wow, thanks Chandler.
Thanks,
Jeez.
Chandler. You fucking asshole.
I don't
because
know.
she used to be so fat.
I don't know
Alright.
anything about Big Bang Theory, honestly. Someone's bringing up that Sheldon is not supposed to be likable.
Okay. Someone, I forget, it was in another meeting where someone brought up that they thought there was enough on Sheldon to add him. I haven't seen Big Bang Theory either, so I don't know if Sheldon works.
Well, I think everyone is supposed to be likable in a TV show where they're like all friends. Even Kramer, who.
Yeah.
So it's hard to draw this distinct
Well-
line where it's like who's fair game and who isn't
Right.
when they're blending it so often.
I would
Yes
argue
and
that
no.
Seinfeld explicitly states none of our characters are likable. That's why the finale is what it is. That's
Seinfeld-
what was fresh about the show.
Ben Seinfeld is an exception.
Like Always Sunny,
Therefore
no one is
also,
I feel-
likable, even though I love Charlie.
But
Yeah.
they're all supposed to be
they're
monsters.
supposed to be monsters. That's
Right,
the premise
so
of the
who's-
show.
who's-
Charlie's the Kramer, and it's always sunny.
Yeah, he's almost the
So
observation.
that
of
means
Kramer, like,
so that
he's
means
so
like
over the
Seinfeld
top.
can't be in the episode. is
I
what
don't
you're
think
saying.
so.
Yeah,
I think.
I think
for-
JD really works because he's trying to be
Right.
sensitive, likable guy.
I think
Ted
Ted-
Mosby, same
yeah.
thing. To me, Chandler's the clearest one that works from Friends, unless Phoebe.
Ross needs to be.
Unless Phoebe
the
is somehow
likable
evil.
sis.
Phoebe did something with a set of twins. I'll have to ask Willard. Does Phoebe do anything despicable?
Hmm.
See, so Friends I also shy away from because it becomes hard to parse who's supposed to be likable in Friends.
I feel
Right.
like if you go for what the characters that are clearly supposed to be like relatable, they're supposed to be us, the audience, watching.
That's kind of what I'm going for.
Yeah, that's why it's
Yeah,
Scrubber, where it's like they might do bad things, but they're like, yeah, I'm a good guy, I'm trying. You know, like the narration.
I screwed
stuff.
up.
So in
Yeah.
Friends, would that be Rachel?
Ross.
Like Ross and
Ross-
Rachel?
Ross
like a
learns
gender
the
character?
lessons the most often.
But as I say, I think the true formula is in Friends. The trio that are Fry, Bender, and Leela. There's just a boy trio and a girl trio. That's Friends structure.
Yeah.
They doubled up on the classic comedic trio and gender coded it.
Yeah.
Phoebe is Joey.
Yeah,
Chandler's.
Chandler's Courtney Cox.
Well, I think the way to go that makes the most sense is characters like JD from Scrubs and Ted Mosby that are clearly the protagonist of their show
Yeah.
and they're the everyman.
That's one of the strongest.
So I'm also asking the stream if we're forgetting popular everyman characters that should be in the mix here. I do think Ted Danson on Cheers counts, but it's kind of like at this point, I agree if people are like, oh great, so you're going to prove that a 35-year-old sitcom has jokes in it that are dated now?
Right, yeah. Went
Come
off
on,
the
who
air
gives
in
a shit?
93.
You should.
Yeah.
I don't think you should do this, but you could technically include Frasier stuff on this.
Cosby would have to be about, well, okay, I'll say this. we would get views if we could find a way that literally the character Bill
Right.
Cosby in the Cosby Show is evil.
Cliff Huxtable.
Cliff
would
Huxtable.
have to
Sorry.
be, yeah.
Cliff Huxtable would have. I don't know. I did watch that show, but I don't like drill it, so I don't remember if there's a good argument that Cliff Huxtable's a monster. But yeah, I don't. It's not an argument to be like, well, Bill Cosby turned out to be a monster. That counts.
There's got to be some real monsters in Full House, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it would have to be Saget, right? He's
Yeah,
the likable
Yeah,
everyman.
he would have to be the real monster. There's.
That 70s show is a good point. Eric Foreman.
Yeah, totally.
I think Eric Foreman could totally work, and that's a show, unlike Big Bang Theory, that I won't hang myself after watching 3 times over.
Right.
um,
God, I'm trying to think of pulp shows.
Yeah, me too. The Office, Jim.
Yeah.
oh
He's
yeah,
supposed to be the most likable.
Jim is the everyman for
He-
sure.
He is
Yeah,
kinda-
he is complicated though because he is. I remember like mid-season, like the Dwight pranks and stuff. He was
They
starting
get
to
that's
feel
immediately
like weird about and like
mean spirited.
yeah.
But I've seen Office many, many, many times, and it hasn't struck me that Jim still comes off as
Right.
fine to me
Yeah.
to
I
this
think
day.
as long
It's
as
the
it's in
only
a way
person
that's-
who's changing is Michael, where you're like, the edgy stuff now is even edgier to the
Right.
point where you're like, whoa, that's pretty rough, Michael.
Yeah, I feel like it has to
Every-
be just a way that you
Everybody
wouldn't
Loves
expect.
Raymond.
Everybody loves Raymond. Yeah, Michael from The Office. I feel like Jim, if there's enough there, is a better target for The Office than
Yeah,
Michael.
because
That's a better target.
Michael is not the everyman. Michael is
No, and he's also
the star of the show.
Or he's also just so like he makes so many mistakes because of ignorance.
Yeah, Leslie Knope and Liz Lemon, but I would argue that they've entered a neo-sitcom phase where the protagonist is no longer an everyman. Like, new sitcoms barely do this. You know
No,
what I
right,
mean?
yeah,
Liz
yeah.
Lemon is not an everyman. She's a unique character.
I mean that is kind of the gift of Michael from The Office.
You could.
Yeah.
I don't know about.
Even though
You
they
could
had
look
a Jim, but he wasn't the main guy.
You could look at Brooklyn Nine-Nine from the perspective of someone dealing with the police. I don't know if there's anything there.
Well, there's a tweet I liked. They were like, I love this show, but once in a while I have to, it might have been Jeff, remember that it's like watching a sitcom about the Gestapo. Like, they're one of the killingest police forces there is. But just this particular precinct only gets into wacky,
Oh,
non-political
God, you're right.
scrapes.
That's like
Um,
Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah. That's how, there was a concentration camp sitcom.
There was!
Why did
we do
We
that?
did a lot
Yeah.
of things.
That
we
was
shouldn't.
early to do that,
Yeah.
yeah. Ray from Everybody Loves Raymond. Okay, so leave it to me and I'll see what arguments
Yeah, I
develop
gotta
the best.
think.
So I probably will.
Sounds good though.
This premise is tough to do that. Like, I can't sit here and go, okay, what are your guys' arguments to feed me? But I know I can't do this alone. So if anything comes to you, please do email me. I will start a thread, but it's on me. I'll also be looking to, so if you're in our Discord, the Small Beans Discord stream, and or if you visit our patreon.com/smallbeans page regularly, which is our homepage, I will be soliciting help with this. So if you know Friends or Everybody Loves Raymond or Big Bang Theory inside out, in order to get the script done in time, I'll definitely be asking for research help. So that is more than welcome. You can find us at patreon.com/smallbeans. Also, if you can get it to work, I'll be in the Discord there. We have a whole chat thing set up. But more importantly, if y'all think of anything.
Yeah.
I've got Scrubs pretty much unlocked, but the others I need.
I think, the
We'll need to
whole
watch.
beginning of Jim's arc is that he's aggressively hitting on a woman who is engaged.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is kind of just the creepy guy at work that she's being polite to.
And I do know everyone hates Ted Mosby, but I'll need more details on
I
why
feel
Oh
like
my
we
god,
decided
that's.
that.
I feel like there just needs to be
Like,
an
that's
element of them
easy.
being a monster in a way that's surprising. Like, just going through the X-Files, one of the things we had noticed is that characters that are supposedly close to Mulder will die, and he'll just sort of get over it. And I wonder, like, the sitcom format
feels
must do
nothing.
that a lot,
Yeah.
where it's like a character is killed off, and then the next
Thank
week
you.
they're just back to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a lot of sociopathic like tendencies in these characters, but that's kind of because of the format. But still.
Yeah. Cool. I will begin working We have to have a shoot soon, so expect it soon. I will make this my top priority. I'm killing time because I'm trying to remember what else to do and not forget anything. In a minute here, we're going to show episode 2 as it is thus far. So I'll tell everyone at the same time. I'm like 5 minutes in. There's been no sound smooth. There aren't singles. Every shot's a 2-shot. Everything that's blank space is where a clip will go. Some cartoons are in, but that's it. Obviously, I'm trying to get to the end of the cut before I start doing all the finesse work. But as a climax to the stream, I thought people would want to see the edit. If you don't want the episode spoiled, we're going to show an inferior cut of the episode soon. It can be very illuminating if you're interested in the process and how much changes between a rough and the final episode. But if you're like, this is just a spoiler with a worse version, then maybe log off in the next few minutes.
It's like downloading the work print.
We'll let you know when we're going to
I was
start.
gonna say
playing.
X-Men Wolverine. Done.
So we've got animations for this. That's great. We got feedback on the script. Sorry, I'm just doing dummy sleep, we calls it.
Mm.
I have the premise. I will need help developing the arguments, but again, I think it would be fun, and I'm going to aggressively try and see on Twitter and shit if, like, the fans will help me with, you know, because, like, I know Willard can give me a lot on any of the Friends, and, like, I just finished watching Scrubs for the 8th time consecutively, so I'm all up on that. But that 70s show I'll need help on. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to be much help on a lot of these.
Oh, I know.
Because I'm
Your
not-
childhood was
Yeah.
deprived.
I didn't see a single.
I still have the. I don't want to step on your toes in terms of. It seems like.
Oh yeah, if you want, or would
I don't need.
would
to,
you be able to wrap it up in time? Because that might.
I don't
your
know if I'll be
episode
able to
might-
wrap it up. I think I still need help just generating the ideas. But once
Mhm.
they're generated, I can knock out a script pretty quickly.
Can you refresh us?
It's kind of Dave's. My idea that then Dave kind of had another idea that made it better, which was from the last pitch meeting, which was TV tropes or film and movie tropes that are actually superpowers. Identifying what tropes are fair game is a big problem for me because there's obvious ones, but trying to find ways that they're superpowers. Like how specifically nuanced do we get? Because you kind of, the idea I bounced around you is like in Act 3 when someone has a gun, the villain has a gun to the protagonist and then gets shot out of nowhere.
Right.
And we also have to kind of up front in the script talk about
That's
how
right
plot
on the
armor.
line for me.
It's right, yeah.
I feel like
So
you-
I'm
Plot
like-
armor can't happen. Like
But if just the
that's too well
superpower
known.
is I am always protected from harm,
That's plot
Well,
armor.
can you compare
That's
it to a
too
real
how
superpower?
much of a superpower? Well, invincibility, I guess.
Like, well, or
Immortality.
there was that TV show Strange Luck, where he has strange luck.
Mm.
I didn't
No, like
know
the
that.
idea of someone who's just, or I mean, the new Deadpool, there's someone who's just really lucky, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you could compare it to,
Domino.
like the idea where people start a conversation and cuts to them like on the street talking, and the conversation is picked up exactly where it started.
Yeah.
You could be like, oh, that's time travel. They're time travel.
Oh, so like montage is
Montage, like-
is quick.
They're either time
Yeah.
traveling or they're teleporting.
Or they're
They're
teleporting.
So
yeah.
you're saying actual filmmaking tricks and storytelling.
General tricks and tropes that like
Yeah.
don't logically make sense in the world, but happen all the time.
Trying to find out.
The one that I think I suggested was the ability to remember numbers, which isn't that great of a superpower.
Oh, yeah, or
but it's
even
just
the
a thing
ability-
that happens. In
Yeah,
What I
okay.
love is your
They're
ability
really
to later remember more of the scene that you remembered
Yeah.
before and zoom in on a detail.
right.
That
And
I
that-
know is supposed to symbolically represent like more details came to you later, but I don't know how often I'm like, yeah, I remember being there.
What's
I
the
think
name?
she
Right,
had a
my memory
red
doesn't-
coat. Now later I remember the red coat had words
Right.
on it.
Right.
Now I can see the words.
Yeah.
My memory of an event doesn't grow sharper the further I get from it.
In general, perfect memory is like a thing. Yeah, that whenever there's flashbacks.
I'm not super aware of that getting sharper.
Well, just even the sharper, or just the fact that they remember it exact as it
Yeah.
happened. Like someone remembers when they're a child. And
That, or like you could phrase it this way, by the very fact that it's a film, right?
yeah.
Everyone's memory is a film because flashbacks are filmed.
Oh
Therefore,
yeah.
everyone has perfect memory. They can see, they remember what the corner looks
Yeah.
like and what the background was like.
It's
and
literally
everything, you know what I mean?
photographic. Yeah.
I
I think of Batman remembering the Joker killing his parents,
Yeah.
and it's like, he wouldn't fucking remember that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like he's watching his parents get shot. He's not gonna remember a thing.
Right. Shit, now I'm just thinking of Editrix.
Editrix, I think.
Well, the conversation thing is true, but it won't add a lot of pages. It's like, yep, that's true. Good
That's
one.
true,
Keep
yeah.
going.
It's also like Editrix is not very sexy. It's just kind of funny to smirk. It's like
Right.
smirk-worthy.
Well, is there? I mean, I know there's more than one franchise besides John Wick that does the thing where they lock down the situation, or the people in the background are genuinely passersby, and it's like, how does no one see that a motorcycle exploded? Like, the extras are just walking down the street.
Ooh,
A lot of movies have extras that ignore whatever's going on, whatever
Yeah.
momentous thing is going on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how they like deal with. That would be an amazing. It's not a superpower, but it's an amazingly effective way to deal with like grief.
And confidence issues, like social awkwardness. If I lived in a universe where I knew John Wick can get in a sword fight on a motorcycle and people are like, just mind my business, look ahead, then I'd be like, so no one saw me rip my pants. I'm fine. This is fine. You know, that could be like Maggie's argument is she's like, I like that power, just a subtle confidence that no one's looking at me or at what I do.
Right.
Montaging. Yeah, montaging.
I like the one
Mentioned
about
on the thread. Thank you.
Yeah, we already
the
got
person
that.
pointing
That's
the
been
gun.
hit before by a lot of places, but sorry.
Oh no, the person pointing the gun and then the other person getting shot. I don't know if that could lump into the idea of like you always get information that's extremely important to your goals, like exposition in general. Like the idea of lumps into luck, where it's just like the person you see at the supermarket happens to say the exact thing that's going to play into
We
your
can
day
definitely
later.
do serendipity, like everywhere's a small town.
Yeah,
Because everything has that. Like in Seinfeld, they fucking run into Uncle Leo on the street and they were just talking about
Right.
Uncle Leo. It's fucking Manhattan.
Right.
What are the odds of that happening over and over? Or they'll be like, shut up about the puffy shirt. That's the lady who makes the puffy shirts. You're like, how the fuck is this? And I do think a lot of movies do that serendipitous, like,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Why is the TV channel in the who did this? Russian Doll did this. In the first iteration that gets looped, we're in a convenience store. Something on the TV happens to bear on the time loop. So it's very lucky that was on TV at that moment because every time they reset,
Yeah,
they
'cause
get that
otherwise,
clue yelled at
yeah.
them. But of course, I don't know if the reveal is God did all this, then that will all retroactively make sense.
It's
That
basically
show
your
hasn't ended.
Slumdog Millionairing your life that way.
But we don't
It's
care
just like
because
everything is-
we're just saying things that are common tropes, how we would read
Right,
as
the
a
television
superpower.
frequently happens to be giving you the most important information.
So it
Say
doesn't.
again?
Yeah.
The television frequently happens to be giving you the most
Oh,
important
televisions
information.
are
Yeah,
televisions.
Simpsons covered it the best. Wow, what a coincidence that was on the TV,
Oh, yeah.
Lisa. Anyway,
Yeah.
Thanks for turning it on. I didn't turn it on. Well, turn it off now. It is off. Oh, I also love, and that's still
Right,
happening
if you have
to
any-
this day, is people will be watching TV. Something that impacts the plot will happen on TV. No one will touch a remote. They'll turn and start talking to each other. Oh shit, that just happened, and the TV's muted.
Right.
Like, that's a very functional power. It would be nice to just be like, everything shuts up if I'm going to talk to someone.
Oh, yeah.
Parties get quieter around me if I'm going to talk, have a fruitful conversation.
It's like the not saying goodbye on the telephone.
phone,
Like
yeah.
there's got to be like those functional powers that are clearly there,
Yeah.
just being like we don't have time to explain this.
Someone who hates a phone call would love they can hang up at any time, and the other person will take it for granted that the phone call wraps up in a normal fashion. Like, if they get too stressed out, just click. And they're like, well, no one says goodbye, so I guess
I mean,
that's
this is
that.
kind of. I want to get into like because what we're talking about is we're writing about the cleanliness of writing
Right.
TV
Yeah.
and movies being so super streamlined that it affects how your day to day works. So therefore, what's also fair game if all these are fair game to me is stuff like the guy like in a procedural crime drama, the person that you first meet that seems like who's around, but like no one would ever
Person.
question her.
Yeah.
Then you clearly did it. It's like that kind of thing whenever you look
Yeah.
at your episode and you go like, I bet that guy did it.
And I
I
think,
feel like
yeah.
Lumps
Right,
like
I
TV.
agree. And the
It's
way
like picking up for that.
but that's
That's-
Zombieland is that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's also how I would use plot armor is if I had hung out with a person for too long in a dangerous situation, I would just say, let's split up. And they'd be like, why? What's the strategy? I'd be
'Cause
like,
I can't die.
if you're away from me,
Yeah.
you'll be available to return when I'm going to get killed.
Yeah.
You have to be out of frame right now.
Right.
But also, okay, try and remember every episode of After Hours, because this worries me. Or maybe it was something we discussed and didn't get to, but I feel like I wrote this part, which is that I think where it ultimately leads is the ultimate power of living in a movie universe is that everything that happens to you matters. There's no erroneous information, and you never have filler time or say anything that's not cogent or important or
you never
revealing
have-
about yourself.
You rarely have to go to work.
Yeah, and what I'm wondering is, didn't I already have Soren say this monologue at
Right.
the end of an After Hours once? Does anyone recall? Because I'm worried now. It rings a bell.
Could be the one. Didn't you
But that's
have an
where my mind
episode where
goes.
you talked about friends having like apartments that were
Too
like
nice.
too nice and stuff?
I think it was an idea we pitched, but it never became anything.
Because I have even more memories of pitches that didn't make it, so it's like hard to remember what's been done. But
It's all blurred.
This is one of the ones that I also have for that, and the Twinema one. That
yeah, people are saying this was already an episode. Most of these points are already made. Definitely an episode. I agree. I think
Is TV
I have
movie
the same
tropes
feeling.
equaling a superpower
I
specifically?
believe
an
it
episode?
was. I believe it was.
Then why did we like
Accepted
greenlight
ourselves.
it?
Because we forgot.
Okay.
This is how
I just assume
I
I'm
knew
always
this
the
for-
dumbest one in the room, so I'm like, why aren't you guys
Yeah.
doing your job?
I've
Season 5,
repitched-
episode 2.
Yeah, I've
Oh, thank
repitched
you.
ideas that like, oh right.
This
well,
is going to happen in this process. I think the other aspect
Not the first time.
that
it's
people don't
happened.
forget
Yeah.
is, well, we made that show for 8 years. And for every episode that made it, we discussed 2 or 3 pitches that didn't make it.
Yeah.
So our brain's full of them, and we want some of the ones that didn't make it to resurface, but we have to be vigilant, which is why the stream is very helpful.
Thank you,
that we're
yeah.
not re-hitting old
Yeah, for
ground.
sure.
Yeah. Would you like to claim another premise to start batting around
I
for
could,
yourself,
yeah,
though?
easily.
I would love to do that if you're up for it.
There was one you brought up on
Yeah,
the
do you have?
movie stream watching Tremors. The characters who are like, what's it? That was on Tremors, right? It was characters who are like, who don't work in the idea that the
Oh,
like,
no.
would be like-
It was
would be
like it was
Cleavon
the
Bundy.
no. It was the props.
Yes. Oh,
Well used props that make universes of films and franchises in the same universe.
right,
Because there's things like the Ghostbuster thing. Like,
and we just talked about Little Shop of Horrors. The tools that he uses
Yep.
on Bill
the Batman
Murray
tools.
are
Yeah.
the ones the Joker got.
Morley
so you're like, so
cigarettes.
that's Steve Martin's the dentist who fucked up the
Uh,
Joker's
yeah.
face.
That's what we were talking about. Brands, Oceanic,
yeah.
where that brand, that fake brand,
That
in
was
movies
because of executive
crashes so
decision.
much that it makes it a terrible brand in that universe.
Right, every time Oceanic,
launched
whatever.
Oceanic Airlines or
is used, they
That was
crash.
that's
or
what we're doing.
something
It's like
more
worst
wild.
brands.
And then there was
fictional
like
brands.
Atlantic
That-
and Pacific Courier.
I
That was
think we moved
exploded.
on from that one because
Okay.
I think shared props. You could probably fold both into one, but an episode built around shared props is a great. Like, say, look, because this is what every episode is at its core. Movies are fake. Something we've never touched on is an interesting aspect of movies being fake is the objects are reused. Go.
Right.
You
Go
have to
to-
justify it
yeah.
in movie world.
we
yeah.
talk about the Spaz 5
What
a
does it
lot
mean?
on stream.
You know better than I do how right that is. Well, you'd also need to do research.
I'll probably talk to an art director.
Yeah,
see.
one
But,
of the most
like,
legendary.
But honestly,
props.
there's ones that are the most captivating ones to me because now we have 2 ideas and we need to like find
Oh.
which one. We have the idea which is that the brands themselves. What's the worst brands? Like the
Right.
Oceanic Express,
Yeah.
where we find some. And I felt like we abandoned that one because it was tough
Brands
to
that
find a
they
brand that
connect.
that wasn't cigarettes or airlines that would really be the worst. The other one is just find shared connections between franchises
The props
via
thing
props.
is
The one-
grabbier to me and
I
it
just-
feels richer.
Sorry, I remembered the one that was bugging me. Is Red Apple cigarettes in the Tarantino films?
Yeah.
There's one other movie that does it. Is Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion,
Also
which
use
makes
Red
it.
Apple cigarettes.
Tarantino
Yeah, which
film.
makes it
Also-
suddenly.
It
just
also,
in the
for some
Tarantino
reason, even
movie.
though this is all fake, the prop being a physical object, knowing that it sat in a warehouse and was physically picked up and reused again, for some reason feels more like credible to talk about as
Yeah.
nerds than a writer used the same generic phrase in their scripts
Right.
as another writer who's trying to think of just a generic
This is
airline.
also definitely a cracked article.
I'm
Oh,
sure.
it's-
I think an
Just
old
a
cracked
quick-
article.
But the cracked article is just a compendium of
That'd be
plots
just
that you've
good for
seen
research.
before. It was
That's
like a
fine, we can do that.
photoplasty or something like that.
There
It
are
was
some
like a list of
after hours episodes that are adaptations of
Right,
existing
yeah.
articles, yeah.
And
this would not be that.
The device that Hulk Hogan uses to track down his stolen armor in Suburban Commando is the PKE from Ghostbusters.
Which is
That's
also
fucking
in.
hilarious.
Yeah.
That's also in fucking Daily.
There's a,
So all of
Yeah,
those,
there's-
those
like,
exist in
a
the same
bunch.
universe.
yeah, so that's what I was getting to, is trying to find around a table how they can coexist.
Right.
Interesting marriages.
So I think each person would pick, instead of arguments, they'd have a favorite prop that they know about,
Right.
and then they'd
What's the most
justify
interesting?
how those movies.
That's
make-
better to me than trying to justify
Oh, for sure.
like the Red Apple cigarette things, because it's just like, okay, cool. Huh.
Right. There has to be some logic.
Yeah,
to it.
the clear indication of all of it
Well,
is so
for Red Apple, the way you do that, and I don't know if this would work at all, but
So
you
now
have to
people are
argue
saying
that.
OPCD did that.
No. I was gonna say you have to argue that Romeo and Michelle takes place in a Tarantino. Like you'd have to watch that movie and see if it actually fits in the universe.
Did
I'm
Dan-
assuming, yeah.
Did Dan argue that they all existed in the same universe?
Yeah, did he riff on trying to connect the shared props?
Because there's been tons of
Yeah,
things of
that's
shared
not
props.
unique to
Yeah, that's I've seen that thing
I
based on every.
like. I think the
Okay,
justification.
it didn't try to link the films. Yeah, he wrote hilarious jokes, I'm
I'll
sure,
try to-
about how lazy art directors are and pointed it all out. Aaron Kahn says he did link the films,
I'm
but
gonna
most people say no.
I'm gonna watch the video again.
Yeah, we'll watch this.
Because actually, now
Watch
that
Dan's
I
OPCD and see
now
if
we
it's
think
on
about it,
you.
I actually think I may have directed that one. It's like the fucking mail back in
Our
the day.
brains.
Dude, we've done over 1,000 videos, so it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure we haven't. That's why I do like keeping up with the times. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't do John Wick because it's too, you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
We didn't do Lord of the Rings as Deadwood. I remember that
Definitely
we
That
didn't
not.
do
needs
that.
to happen.
Definitely not greenlit. After hours deal.
Yeah, that's why Marvel stuff helps because it's like, yeah, Marvel is still pretty fresh.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna rewatch it just in case.
Yeah, just watch the episode.
And I also don't want to have too much.
Don't repeat. You might have
I want to
subconsciously
make
do
sure
same
this
joke.
is. I want to make sure that it's data that is available to the people working on it, as opposed to just taking an article and just saying like, "Yep, that one, that one, that one, that one."
Right.
Philip
That's
Reinhardt
easy.
says hi, Dave.
That's
Who?
the easy one, but
Philip Reinhardt.
I feel.
Okay, I was only interrupting in case
I
it's
don't
someone
know
you
who
know in
that
real
is.
life and
Nope.
it would matter to you.
Oh, someone said something that would have made their day, and I wanted to say it.
Yeah, any other good comments? Because otherwise we'll watch the cut and I'll
Yeah.
let you guys go.
Someone said something about Tom. Like
Oh dear.
they said they want you to know it would be very important to them that you know that they think you're awesome.
Oh, thank you. Whatever that was.
John Wanamaker says, before I go, I need to tell Tom Ryman how much I love him. I hope he sees this. It's really important to me.
Oh, well, thank
Aw.
you, John Wanamaker.
He could be gone now.
Damn it.
But hope you hear that.
I was-
I hope we made
We
it full
hope you heard
circle.
that.
Okay, so now we're going to watch. Thank you, everyone who's enjoying the stream. And we just realized it's weird. I don't know. Somehow we avoided the first time we did this. No one pitched anything, even pitched anything that was a repeat. So I'm realizing the value of the people watching
The stream.
Yeah.
being
Yeah,
like,
for
after
sure.
Hours did that season 2. That's very useful. Thank you. Because we can generate fresh ideas infinitely. We've just done so many.
There's also
Keep
that
drinking.
paranoia.
Yeah, and there's-
everything I write, I think like, has someone done this? Am I?
Or did we do it at Trends ourselves?
Yeah,
Did
We used to pump out
show-
5 videos a week.
Yeah.
It's like, I maybe wrote that and read it in front of a
There's
green screen. I
also
don't
rooms
remember.
where we pitched something where we got super attached to it, but then
And
it's
it didn't
never
happen,
happened.
and you have a false memory that you've done it?
Yeah.
All right.
The Twinema is a perfect example of that one. I was like, we totally did that today's topic, and I was like, no.
Which
Yeah.
one?
I was assigned that, and then it got tabled. After I
And speaking of
wrote it.
leveraging the fans, yeah, I'm going to need help with this research for mine. So look for tweets, patreon.com/smallbeans. There will be a post where you can help me research. And I'll also be on the Small Beans Discord.
And we should put people who help research enough.
They'll get special
put your-
thanks.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, you'll be in the credits. That's your compensation. Okay, so now I'm gonna fuck around with the stream a bit, so we might go away for a second. I think you'll always hear our audio, but I'm gonna try and show the Adobe Premiere window instead of us.
What do you guys want to talk about?
This dude from Free Solo that is the Adobe Premiere open screen. You guys see that?
No.
Oh, have you guys seen The Favorite?
Not yet.
Not yet.
So it's Olivia Colman.
No.
I was just gonna say I don't like anything that director's done so far.
Me neither, until this. I think Yorgos Lanthimos is that right?
Yeah.
Is a little flat affect for me, but The Favorite I adore.
Okay.
And I was worried to watch it because I love Olivia Colman so much. I actually love the whole cast a lot, but I was like, but I don't need to see another proper shots of people doing the period shit. And I didn't know it was that director. I shouldn't have been afraid.
Right.
It's fucked up and crazy. It is not like Downton Abbey, you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
Which
Did
I was
you
worried
like
about.
King's Speech?
It's nothing like The Favorite, but yes, I did like King's Speech. It was a nice.
Favorite over King's Speech.
Oh, The Favorite for sure.
So you guys think?
I didn't see the
I haven't
Favorite
seen The Favorite.
Do you think The King's Speech over Favorite?
Now that I think about it, I've only seen The Lobster, and I just hated that.
I love ideas like that. There just wasn't enough meat
It
there.
was
for me.
that's my impression. It was a short film that someone stretched out by just repeating the same premise over and over.
Yeah.
Again.
All right, so now Abe, help me do this faster. I
Go
do
to
window capture.
Yeah.
Window capture.
You're gonna infinity once you do that.
That's fine,
And
but what
select
we want is
Adobe Premiere.
Premiere. There we go.
Oh, right.
Okay, so now you should be seeing my wiener.
Quick-
If you are not
you can
seeing my
quickly
wiener,
go to the
Google
stream
Michael
and make-
Swaim's wiener.
Quickly go to make the infinity shot happen in the browser just to verify.
Why, you
that-
want the infinity shot to happen?
Oh wait, you're not because you captured a
I want the
specific
infinity
window.
shot to happen for a second. It's not like people. Alright, cool. So they can see it. So now
Okay.
go back.
Alright, so hopefully you guys can hear us and see
No.
the screen. But I'm going to go to Premiere and make your shit bigger.
Yeah, make my
Yeah,
shit
make
big.
my
I'm
shit
shitting. Ah, my shit's so big.
This is very taxing
My
for the
shit's
computer.
so big.
I have no idea if you'll be able to hear the sound.
They
but the people
won't.
in the room will.
They won't.
Can you make it so they can?
Yes.
Hold on, Abe's making it so you also hear the desktop audio. Properties. Default?
Oh.
Shoot lasers. I think we have to add an audio capture, right?
Yeah.
What else did I want you to see?
I've never had to do that
Ah.
before. It just there is a default.
No, that's from a device. If this works, you guys will be happy we took the time. Yeah, remove audio capture 5. So what would it be?
It wouldn't be adding anything. I just don't know what your desktop.
Window capture is already on, but there's no audio from
It
it.
should just have this should
Desktop
be a
audio,
thing,
right?
like an
Or
event.
window capture desktop.
Well, it's not playing it. Should we play something so you can tell if it's working? Maybe it is working.
Oh yeah, doesn't it usually just work?
It usually just works, that's
Then
why-
maybe we should just play it and see if people can hear.
Or just play something fun on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the other thing. Yeah.
We were watching Nick Jay's and Gun Genie by the Geniuses at Picnic Phase.
That's the other
Old
thing I
sketches.
can. What's make something make sound.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Do you
saying,
like the-
dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play stuff from the grave so that I'm not spoiling.
We're just audio testing. Yeah.
Testing the audio.
And then.
The external hard drive spinning up.
You're describing Carrie.
That's right.
Do you guys hear that on the stream?
Let it keep.
Sorry, yeah.
Going.
You're describing Carrie.
That's right. Carrie, a film set in the late 70s.
Okay,
Exactly when
Yeah,
she
you hear it.
would be attending high school.
Yeah.
Don't you?
And
You
in
guys should
comics,
hear
every
it.
time
They're
you
also gonna
reference
hear
a
echo
child,
from
You wanna
us
shut off
talking
our
in
audio.
right?
Huh?
Maybe a vague cover.
You'd shut off our mic, right? Like you were just saying.
No,
You
they-
shut off our mic when you play back just the video.
All right, then thanks everyone because we're gonna play the clip and then I'll end the stream after that.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. I'm shutting off our audio now. Bye.
Bye.
But here comes off hours.
You can
Rough
just mute
cut.
it.
you guys hear that?
Is it my character and or township's barter action phase?
Yeah, actually. But who are you?
What? I'm your good pal Cody. Your pal.
No, our pal Cody just went to the bathroom to blast Mad Dukes.
You can skip me. This is gonna be a whole event.
Whereas you just came in through the front door and sat down.
But not before looking at me and saying, "Oh my God, you're alive in my timeline. Who'da thunk it?" Which I'm not a fan of on several levels. Wording, for one.
Ah, jeez. Okay. I'm from another timeline, all right, where I say who'da thunk it. You got me. I need to lay low for a while. I'm basically Carmen Sandiego in mine. Carmen Mandiego. Men's already in it. They call me Cody there, too. Basically, me and a band of colorful bandits stole the Arc de Triomphe.
Wait, really?
No, I shot a guy. But let's do this! Come on, I brought the surge, didn't I?
That is true. He did bring the surge, which in our timeline is very rare.
Yeah, so maybe we should just play the game and stop being so bitchy about who's from what timeline.
You know what that reminds me of? So the premise of the X-Men is that these mutant powers start cropping up as sort of a new trend in human evolution, right? We see in First Class that in the 1960s, mutants are treated more like scary folktale monsters than like a social issue yet.
Yeah, like Boogeyman, but with spandex and lasers.
And that fear makes a lot of sense, because out of context, I mean, a lot of these mutant powers look downright demonic. Shooting fireballs, controlling people's thoughts, fucking literal witch magic. So imagine someone like Jean Grey, as a child, already battling her inner dark phoenix while trying to navigate the tumult of adolescence. I mean, maybe everyone starts to feel cosmic powers well inside of them when they hit puberty. How would she even know?
Sex ed, comparing notes with friends.
But what if your home life is shit and you're not allowed to have any friends? I mean, it would only take one bad prom to push you over the edge so you annihilate half the yearbook. I'm talking Mutant Columbine. Dirty Pillows of Death.
You're talking about Carrie.
That's right, Carrie, set in the late 70s, which is exactly when Jean Grey would have been in high school. Plus, in the comics, whenever we reference Jean Grey's childhood, she basically just says, "It was great. My parents were great." Huh? Maybe a vague cover story to hide some childish indiscretion, child murders, perhaps?
Yeah, it's like Carrie is like a secret Dark Phoenix prequel. She's got the same powers: telekinesis, pyrokinesis, firehosekinesis. Wow, I cannot express how much I miss doing this with you guys. We don't get to see each other that much where I'm from anymore.
I get it. I'm dead in your timeline.
Buried alive.
Super didn't ask how I died. Definitely didn't want to know.
Anyway, Carrie definitely would have avoided a lot of misery and destruction if she just found like a Professor X type, you know?
Well, that's not true. I mean, there are many, many needless deaths in the X-Men universe, most of which Jean Grey caused or did directly. Had Carrie been an X individual, Professor X would have had her using her powers to kill people every day. As her job, at age tween. You know, murdering a bunch of shitty teenagers before dying is actually the better scenario when the other option is becoming a child soldier.
Yes! Point, counterpoint, repartee. You have no idea how much this warms my heart. Come here.
It's great.
Yeah!
Yeah, you should...
I didn't learn your name in either timeline, but the love is there.
You smell like a tire.
Rubber's currency where I'm from.
Oh, I have one. John Wick.
Oh,
is
shit! John Wick! Yeah! John
Don't
Wick!
set him off, baby!
Such a good movie!